Well, here come the teams. Newcastle led out onto the field by Bruno Guimaraes and Mickey van der Ven, leading Tottenham out onto the field of play. We're high up in the main stand here on TalkSport 2. A steep drop to the touchline below, where we'll very shortly see Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe shaking hands. Scott Minto, I wonder, should there be any question of the future of Eddie Howe? I think I know what you're going to say, given the achievements that he has brought to the club.
Look, I think there's always pressure on a Premier League manager, on any manager, and they will feel it. They'll feel it from within. You know, I just read about the stats. There's no win in 5 in all competitions, and he's never gone more than 6. 3 straight Premier League defeats, and that's the worst in 2 years. I mean, Newcastle fans have never had it so good. Well, certainly not in recent times, but arguably with the League Cup being won as well and having a trophy. You know, let's understand what Eddie Howe's dealing with. Yes, money's been spent, £240 million in the summer, but 150 went out as well, so it's a £90 million net. Where I would criticise him is, look, you would have had your fingerprints over these new players, and they haven't made any type of impact. So I'm looking at Anthony Elanga tonight. I'm looking at Jacob Ramsey. I mean, Malik Chow has done well, and maybe just in the last couple of weeks fallen away a little bit, but he's been a very good signing indeed. I do worry at Dan Burn at left back. We'll have to wait and see how he does it. I think he's much better as a centre half, and I think Lewis Hall is on course to be England's left back in the World Cup.
Yeah.
So he must have something wrong with him this evening. But it's game after game after game, and whether fans like to hear it or not, you can't be at your physical peak all the time, because these are physical specimens, and if you're not at your peak, Joe, then your form does drop off for sure.
And just looking around the ground with a couple of minutes to go until kick-off, there are pockets of empty seats right across the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, particularly in the upper tiers tonight, so some have certainly voted with their feet. We're still waiting to see whether Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe are going to emerge from the tunnel anytime soon. In fact, I can see Thomas Frank down below, his arms folded in his black jacket. The rain has stopped in the last few moments. Conditions just about perfect for a game of football, but you really do feel, Scott, that despite Newcastle's recent struggles, it's Spurs who need the points even more, particularly at home.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, Newcastle, and Eddie, it starts to be a bit of pressure on him, and him saying after the game at the weekend, I wonder whether I'm the right person. But in the pre-match presser for this, he said, I am. But there's no doubt about it, it's Thomas Frank still trying to impress himself on the Spurs fans. And with the home form being so bad, people pay a lot of money to come here. You know, they want to be entertained, or if they're not entertained, they want to see winning football, and they're seeing neither at the moment. And there's no real improvement on what's happened of last year. Look, you can't blame injuries all the time, but their injuries are into double figures on key players. I do think having Dominic Solanke back is really important. Let's try and keep 11 men on the pitch. I think that's going to be quite important as well.
That should be easier without Romero involved.
Absolutely. You know, I want to see a little bit more Jerry Simons. I thought Pap Sarr was decent at the weekend as well. Conor Gallagher needs to step up and prove he's a captain. And Wilson Odobert up against Dan Burn, I think, could be key.
You are listening to Game Day Exclusive live on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they are here for it. Huge night at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Huge night for Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe. Let the drama unfold. Live and exclusive here to National Radio on TalkSport 2. And of course, we'll keep you up to date with all the goals as they go in around the grounds around the country, in the Premier League, in the EFL, and in the Edinburgh Derby in Scotland tonight. Tottenham will get us underway from right to left in the first half towards the north end of the stadium, and the game begins. Spurs in lily white with dark blue shorts, Newcastle in their change kit, dark blue shirts, orange shorts and orange socks, and Newcastle are playing from left to right in the first half here towards that cavernous south stand away to our right hand side, where well over 15,000 Tottenham fans are massed, and some of the empty seats have been filled at kick-off, but there are still plenty that haven't been filled early on in this game. Dragusin with an early touch for Tottenham. I'll remind you of the two teams in full. Dragusin off Gordon's shin to win a goal kick. Vicario in goal for Spurs. Gray, Dragusin, Van der Ven and Spence. Gallagher, Bissouma and Sarr. Odegaard, Solanke and Simons. And for Newcastle, Pope is in goal. Trippier, Chow, Botman and Byrne. Ramsey, Bruno Guimaraes and Willock, with Barnes and Elanga either side of Gordon up front. So Wissa and Voltemade on the bench. What that says about Eddie Howe's confidence in both of those two front men is something else altogether.
Osula as well.
And Will Osula, though he has only made one Premier League start since joining Newcastle. Willock on the near side, the right, with Elanga on the overlap, right by the corner flag, whips in an early ball, and it's headed behind by Bissouma tracking back, and Newcastle win a corner inside the opening 90 seconds. There seemed to be a slight lack of communication between Vicario and Bissouma there.
Absolutely. And I tell you what, Spurs had better not concede here, otherwise there will be criticism aimed at Vicario. Clearly he's not shouted loud enough, because if he would have done, then Bissouma would have just moved out the way. There was not a Newcastle player within 2 or 3 yards of either.
Oh, we're well aware of Newcastle's aerial ability from these sorts of situations. All the usual suspects forward. Elanga delivers right-footed, and it's diverted over the top. Botman was standing on the 6-yard line. The last touch came off Dragusin, and Newcastle get another corner in front of the south stand. But Spurs under pressure very early on here. It's
a wonderful ball in, it really is. Vicario can't come out and claim it. Normally there's in-swinging corners, but this one was an out-swinger. But fantastic ball.
Botman and Chow have gone to the back post this time. Bruno Guimaraes, the skipper, will take it right-footed and in-swinging into the near post. Good header away by Dominic Solanke. Loop back in now towards Trippier, and crossing from the right is Anthony Elanga. Great defending by Solanke, sliding in, and the last touch is off Botman again. It's gone behind for a goal kick, but Newcastle could easily be ahead, 0-0.
And that's two chances where Newcastle could have been ahead, off the back of Vicario not shouting loud enough to Bissouma to get out the way. It's keepers, and I'll make an easy catch. Let me tell you, Dominic Solanke, what a brilliant centre-half he was there. Read the situation, he's facing his own goal, 6 yards out, and he somehow just gets a flick on it, which meant that, who was it? Sven Botman couldn't actually react quick enough to 3 yards out to head it in.
It was the sort of defending that a Class C centre-half would have been proud of.
Absolutely.
Tottenham Hotspur 0, Newcastle United 0, with 3.5 minutes into the game on TalkSport 2, and it's goalless in the other two 7:30 kickoffs. Chelsea 0, Leeds 0 on Talk Radio, Everton 0, Bournemouth 0 on the TalkSport app. West Ham United against Manchester United is live and exclusive on TalkSport at 8:15. And if Spurs were to lose and West Ham were to win tonight, the gap between the two teams would be just 3 points. Odegaard away on the Tottenham right. Two in the middle, pulls it back. Xavi Simons, little flick at the near post. Cleared away by Chow. Drops out to Bissouma, and now Gray midway inside Newcastle territory. There was promise at attack for Tottenham Hotspur underneath the floodlights here on a relatively chilly February evening. Out on the right-hand side is Odegaard again, far side of the field, a long way from our commentary position, looking down on this vast expanse of a playing surface. Van der Ven, tall and strident on the halfway line, wriggles away from Willock infield, goes down, is tripped right in front of the referee Anthony Taylor, and that's a Tottenham free kick. Scott Minter.
Joe, that ball over the top, if that can be on all the time, and it was a straight ball, but even a diag over the top of Dan Burn for Odegaard to run onto, that's the ball for Spurs to try and exploit. Dan Burn, fantastic professional. He's done so well for Newcastle, but he's not the most mobile. If I were Spurs, I'd be looking to pinpoint that every day of the week.
This is the third meeting between the two teams already this season. Newcastle 1-1 in the League Cup. The other was drawn. Jed Spence pumps the ball into the box for Spurs, and sliding into the far post was Dragusin, but he couldn't get onto it. Trying to reach it at the back post. The ball skimmed off the wet surface and behind for a goal kick to Newcastle away to the left-hand side.
Yeah, I really like Jed Spence, and it's going to be some battle. Both very, very quick, him and Anthony Elanga. I really want to see Anthony Elanga get to the form that he had for Nottingham Forest. He's been one of those signings that have been really disappointing for Newcastle, and what a great opportunity for him to really get back and show what he can do in that Forest form.
Header away by Van der Ven for Tottenham, square to Spence out in the left-back position. Normally he wears a different coloured boot, so One might be red, one might be yellow. It's all yellow tonight for Spence as he carries the ball out of play. Again, Tottenham once more without 10 senior players due to various injuries this evening. Udogie, the latest to drop out, 4 to 5 weeks, says Thomas Frank. Spence, certainly a welcome return this evening. Romero suspended, of course, for the next 4 Premier League matches. Raking ball upfield by Archie Gray. Conor Gallagher chasing it, 2 in the middle. Early ball towards the left-hand side. Xavi Simons into the penalty area now. The angle is tight. Goes for goal towards the near post and hits the side netting, right-footed. Still 0-0.
Well, you know, it's almost as if Newcastle are playing like the home side, trying to press high and have that high line. And the Spurs are quite happy being the away side in that counter-attack. And again, that ball over the top in the left-back area, just to expose Newcastle. And as Xavi Simons for a second time now, the first time was a little flick that I don't feel he needed to do. He was guessing there. He could have taken a touch and then tried to do a little bit of skill. On that one, at least he's had a shot. It's not the best of shots, but Spurs look dangerous on the counter.
Well, the Newcastle fans are here and in tremendous voice as ever. Out on the far side of the field, the northeast corner of the stadium in the lower tier, all 3,000 here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and making quite a raucous noise as ever. A foul on the far side of the field by Dragusin with his hair tied back, the big Romanian. And Newcastle take the free kick quickly. Here is the former Tottenham man, Kieran Trippier, on the halfway line, has threaded the ball forward about 10 yards to Bruno Guimaraes, who escaped the attentions of Pat Matar. And now Malik Chow just shy of the halfway line for Newcastle. Gordon on the retreat to play it back to Chow. Booed off at the weekend when they were beaten 3-2 at home by Brentford, Newcastle United. Dragusin with a volleyed clearance upfield. Guimaraes is first to it, and Ramsey body checked by Bissouma. Play allowed to continue because there's an advantage for Newcastle, who keep possession. Now the ball is out on the right-hand side. Willock with a low drive just beyond the far post. Might have kissed the post on its way behind that. Vicario was really scrambling, and the former Arsenal man nearly giving Newcastle the lead away at Spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a really good shot, and Vicario didn't know that was going to just kiss the post and go the other side. As he picks up the ball, Joe Willock, no one really engages on him, but he's at an angle outside the box, 20 yards out, so it's almost as if you're not going to score from there. But I tell you what, he nearly did. Vicario can claim that he would have had it covered, and if it was on target, he would have saved it, but would have been close.
Not so sure about that, Scott Minto. He'll claim it, but it was inches wide, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm just saying what he would have said.
It could hardly have been any closer. Scott Minto, former Benfica defender, with us tonight. Early ball high up the inside right for Tottenham from Gray. Botman doesn't really deal with it. Solanke able to bundle him over and win it back at the expense of carrying it out of play for a Newcastle throw, taken by the giant Burn. 6'6". Newcastle go back to Pope, all in yellow, the goalkeeper, and the short sleeves tonight. Trippier carrying the ball forward, right in front of Eddie Howe and Thomas Frank as Spurs back off. Trippier's carried it probably 50-60 yards upfield towards the right corner of the penalty area. Gordon checking back now, the former Everton man who scored recently at Liverpool. Back to Chow. That was another game where Newcastle started brightly but quickly folded as the game went on. Anthony Elanga in a crossing position down the right, blocked off by Sarr. That'll be a corner to Newcastle United, who in the first 10 minutes, though the score is 0-0, I would say have looked brighter, Scott Minto.
Yeah, they have. Spurs have had a little bit more of the possession according to the stats, but it's almost as I say, the Spurs are playing like that sort of away side, the counter-attack, that ball over the top, whereas Newcastle, especially with set pieces, they've looked dangerous, haven't they?
It's going to be Elanga's right-footed out-swinging corner. Red boots on, delivers into the near post. Poor, headed away by Spence, flicked further forward by Odobert on the counter. Xavi Simons out-muscled in the middle of midfield by Willock, who is sturdy and confident as he knocks it wide to Elanga with a low cross. Good flick by Barnes, but not enough power behind it. Easy save in the end for Vicario.
Yeah, good play though, wasn't it, from Newcastle down the right-hand side. Anthony Elanga. There's some players where if they don't start too well, you feel like their confidence just kind of goes. But he started well tonight. He didn't need to get past Jed Spence. He's put the cross in that's gone through his legs. Then Harvey Barnes has flicked the ball that's gone through Van der Ven's legs, but as you say, there wasn't enough power on it or direction to really trouble Vicario.
Edginess in the Tottenham crowd at the moment. Solanke at the other end, 10 yards from the dead ball line, pulling the ball across left-footed into the area, but Guimaraes is covering to win it back against Conor Gallagher. Now Chow for Newcastle United, out to the right-back position, the near side, and Trippier with a quick square ball in field to Jacob Ramsey, who's yet to really see his Newcastle career gather pace. Ramsey scampers out towards the far side, the left, and Barnes, with his long sleeve shirt on, will play it backwards to Botman, and Newcastle can build again. I mean, you understand the urgency in the Tottenham crowd with their home record as it has been. 4 wins in the last 26 in the Premier League at home. That is nowhere near good enough for any side in the Premier League. As Van der Ven slices the ball out of play, and I suppose after a time, Scott, it sort of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a mental thing as much as anything else. Fouled by Elanga on Simons, and Tottenham get a free kick.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want, Joe, let me tell you. You know, you want to perform in front of your fans, 60,000 paying a lot of money in this magnificent stadium, and you're picking up more points away from home than you are at home. And it's quite ironic, isn't it, in terms of the Champions League when you compare and contrast. They've won all 4 Champions League games here without even conceding a goal. I'm not quite sure how many...
How does that happen?
Well, I think the standards of the teams that they played, I think there's a lot of teams in there that wouldn't be in the Premier League if they were English teams. I mean, not one of them, including PSG, qualified for the round of 16, and 4 of the teams they played, so half of them, finished in the bottom 6 out of 36 teams. So I think Thomas Frank has been a little bit lucky with the games that they've played.
Draw.
Yeah, maybe in the way that Andrew's a little bit lucky in Europe last season, but it doesn't matter. You make your own luck. But what he's got to try and do is, rub that sort of good form and good fortune onto the Premier League games, and it's not happened so far, not at home.
We've had 13 minutes, and it's Spurs 0, Newcastle 0. The hierarchy here tonight to watch on. The CEO, Vinay Venkatesham, and the Executive Chairman, Peter Charrington, are a few rows down below us. Here come Newcastle United, who've looked the brighter team so far, no doubt about that. Just 2 away wins this season. Gordon with his back to goal, nicks it backwards into the feet of Willock. Willock steers the ball wide, right-hand side, Kieran Trippier with time to chip it in, and Vicario got there just in front of Gordon to pluck it out of the air. Had he not done so, Gordon would have had a simple header for 1-0 to Newcastle, and now Chow has won it back off. Simons is gone to ground. Willock to the right-hand edge of the penalty area, shrugged aside by Van der Ven, who scoops the ball away into touch for a throw.
Brilliant defending from Van der Ven, absolutely brilliant defending. Physically, pace-wise, just so difficult to get past him. But I thought that was a foul on Jerry Simons by Malik Chow. If there had been a goal off the back of that, then it certainly would have been interesting. The fans wouldn't have been happy.
Spurs 0, Newcastle 0 on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Ramsey will take the throw for Newcastle. Goes down the touchline towards the corner of the penalty area. Clever backheel by Guimaraes. Whipped in by Elanga. Header away by Dragusin. Unchallenged from the edge of a rather muddy-looking 6-yard area. 2 balls on the pitch momentarily. Newcastle with Trippier to float a high cross into the box again. Only half away. Drops to Harvey Barnes on the inside left. Barnes skips away and clips in the cross, which takes a looping deflection of Archie Gray. Ends up on the roof of the net. And Newcastle have a corner. He's very energetic down on the near side touchline, Thomas Frank, at the moment. He looks very concerned, and not without good reason.
No, Newcastle have certainly started well. You wouldn't believe that they were really poor on the road, would you, the way they've been playing? Mainly down the right, but Harvey Barnes is getting involved now.
Guimaraes to take the corner. All the Tottenham fans behind the goal are on their feet. Guimaraes right-footed and in swinging underneath the crossbar, punched away by the goalkeeper. It'll bounce down to Elanga, close to the right corner of the 18-yard box. 1-on-1 with Odobert, and Odobert clips him. I thought clipped his heels, and he's furious, Elanga, that he hasn't got a free kick.
It's a foul. How is that not a foul?
Assistant couldn't have been any closer,
No.
Scott Minter.
He's got close to him. He's pushed in. If he's got the ball, then it's a corner, and if he hasn't got the ball, it's a foul. Elanga can't believe it.
Well, there was a lot wrong with that challenge, but neither the referee nor his assistant thought so.
But the positive side of that is keep doing it. Keep doing it, because, you know, you will get part. Odegaard's obviously not a fullback. So if you get in that position again, and even if he's up against Jed Spence, just keep doing it. Use your pace.
Well, Sven Botman in possession for Newcastle now, midway inside his own half of the field, and Newcastle with the luxury of essentially being able to switch to a back three when they have possession. Chow goes cross-field out to the left side, and Harvey Barnes, who takes it down beautifully out of the air. Little 1-2 with Ramsey. Barnes shapes to come infield, finds Guimaraes, who always has that touch of elegance about him. Feels like Tottenham are the away team at the moment, the way they've started this game. 0-0, in by Chow, headed down by Byrne, hit by Ramsey, and then it takes a deflection of Van der Ven. Loops over the top of the crossbar and behind for Newcastle's fifth corner of the game already. That really could have gone anywhere.
Well, they're under pressure, Spurs, defensively. I'm not surprised to see Thomas Frank not happy and moving around a lot. He scuffed it, didn't he, really, Jacob Ramsey? If he'd have connected that and inside the box, might have given Vicario no chance.
Well, Byrne, Chow, Botman, all forward for Newcastle. All have gone to the back post. Still scoreless. Corner taken by Guimaraes into the near post, and it hit Papsar. Flicked across the face of his own goal and drifts behind for yet another Newcastle United corner. A Newcastle lead, the way the game is going at the moment, feels like an inevitability.
Yeah, you know, as I say, 3 straight Premier League defeats, only 2 wins on the road. And they look like a team that's going for the title, or at least a Champions League place.
This is TalkSport 2. Corner again to Newcastle, this time from the near side, the right. One arm up into the air from Anthony Elanga. This one's out swinging, headed away from goal in the end by Botman. Tottenham can maybe break here with Xavi Simons, beaten to it by Trippier. Excellent sliding challenge to retain the ball for Newcastle. Elanga down the inside right. Dan Byrne is after that. Stretches one of those long legs to try and clip it across. Double deflection on it. Sarr not happy with whatever Byrne had to say after that. It's all sorted out pretty quickly. And it's a goal kick to Tottenham. Norwich into the lead yet again in the Championship. What a run Philippe Clement's side are on. They lead within 2 minutes away at Oxford United. Mohamed Touré has got that goal. Oxford 0, Norwich 1. Oxford deep in relegation trouble. Everything else in the EFL is 0-0 in the early stages, and goalless 2 in the other 2 Premier League games that kicked off at 7:30. Chelsea against Leeds on TalkSport on Talk Radio, Everton against Bournemouth on the TalkSport app, and of course West Ham against Manchester United on TalkSport at 8:15. More live football tomorrow and on Thursday from the Premier League, and it's live and exclusive on the network. The best way to be across all of it is to download our free app. Now then, Newcastle have the ball yet again. You can see why the Tottenham fans just aren't enjoying this sort of football, because they're so often on the back foot. Anthony Elanga with a low cross in, steered up into the air by Dragusin. Vicario's punched that away from on his goal line. He's got to catch that, the goalkeeper. Here are Newcastle once more. Byrne delivers high, left-footed. Elanga at the back post. Header away by Spence. Elanga now with his back to goal. Tees up Willock. And Elanga trying to reach it again in front of Gallagher. Tottenham get confused. 2 players leave it for each other. Cleared away by Spence. One back on the halfway line by Chow. Well, Tottenham have not got started in this game yet at all. They look slow and sluggish, and their goalkeeper gives them no confidence whatsoever. Elanga from the right wing delivers another cross. Headed away by Van der Ven. Somehow it's still 0-0. But you wonder for how much longer, Scott Minter.
Well, Dominic Solanke's playing like a defensive midfielder. He's so far back. And as Spurs get the ball and just try to hoof it clear, there's no one up there, so it just keeps coming back. It's attack v defence at the moment.
Elanga again, surging down the right, trying to get beyond Spence, who makes a half tackle. Gordon with his back to goal, teed up for Bruno Guimaraes. Edge of the D now is Jacob Ramsey. They're queuing up here, Newcastle. Spurs with everybody in white behind the ball at the moment, and Vicario will come out to collect on the right-hand edge of his penalty area. I must say, I wonder what the goalkeeper was doing a few moments ago. It was the simplest of takes on his goal line, and he's punched it away two-handed.
Well, that's what confidence does to you. I mean, he was right on his goal line, so clearly he panicked a little bit. But yeah, when you've got that confidence, just catch the ball, take the pressure off. And there's a couple more waves of Newcastle coming back, all because the goalkeeper said about he didn't communicate earlier, he didn't catch the ball there.
A foul by Bissouma on Harvey Barnes. Free kick taken quickly. Now Willock, angled ball to the right-hand side. Elanga in another crossing position. Kieran Trippier on the overlap. Double deflection on the cross. Looked like it hit Trippier's arm. Certainly the Tottenham fans behind the goal thought so. Spurs should clear now with Sarr. High, long ball, thundered downfield. Oliver chasing and he'll beat Burn to it. Solanke's in the middle. So too Simons. Oliver darting into the penalty area now and blocked off by Burn, who stood up, did his job well. And Newcastle with actually great authority there, win the ball back. Lewis Hall only on the bench tonight. You'd assume that's potentially fitness related, but Dan Burn did well.
He must have a niggle or be in the red zone or something like that, because why would you not play Lewis Hall? And that's nothing derogatory towards Dan Burn, but Lewis Hall for me is one of the best left backs on form at the moment in the Premier League, so clearly there must be a physical problem to it. But down the right for Newcastle, Jed Spence, Xavi Simons is not coming to help him out, so it's 2-on-1 a lot. And down the right for Spurs, that's their best way of getting forward, with trying to get the ball over Dan Burn's head and then racing onto it, as we saw Odegaard did.
That's the voice of Scott Minto. Still 0-0 here on a dark and chilly night in North London. Spurs have the ball out on the right wing position with Xavi Simons to float across towards Solanke, who went near post. No way was that a foul by Chow coming across him. Oh, and Bruno Guimaraes had to be quick in possession there. Newcastle work it to the right back Trippier and come away with the ball. Eddie Howe urging them forward, sweeping his arm through the air as if to say, keep going, keep going. Halfway through the first half, Spurs 0, Newcastle 0. But Newcastle have been by a long shot the better team in the game so far. Jacob Ramsey's in the area, low cross, turned behind by Bissouma, and it's already corner number 6 for Newcastle United.
That's incredible, isn't it, when you think about it? I mean, it has been all Newcastle, really. And we're just watching a replay of Dominic Solanke thinking he should have won a penalty there. He's got to be stronger. There's no way that's going to be given as a penalty. Yes, he did get a bit of a nudge, but there's no way that's a penalty. Just be stronger. Hold the ball up. You're inside the box, close to the 6-yard box. Then see if you can do a little bit of skill, or if anyone's going to come on, you can lay it off for them. But yeah, at the moment, it's all Newcastle.
Yet another corner to be taken by Guimaraes on the far side there left, right-footed in swinging, drilled into the near post, poor, headed away, hit by Willock on the volley, bounces up and gathered by Vicario inside the 6-yard box.
So do you know what there, Joe? As he's caught the ball and it's an easy catch, there's been sort of ironic cheers from the fans, and you don't need that in the first half. It's a horrible position being a goalkeeper at the best of times. You don't touch the ball for too long, and each time you do, your own fans are kind of being sarcastic with you. Your mind can play horrible tricks.
Doesn't inspire confidence, does he, Vicario? But you have to feel for him when 60,000 are waiting for him to make a mistake.
I understand it with the Spurs fans, I really do. What they're seeing, not just here tonight, but throughout the whole season, really, certainly in the Premier League, has just not been good enough. Not what Spurs fans expect and deserve, but during the game, they've got to stick behind their players, because maybe that's part of the reason why the home form's been so poor. The players have been not very good, and they've also perhaps felt that the fans haven't really got behind them. As I say, fans can do whatever they want within legal reason. They pay a lot of money here. But if they can just stick behind the players, especially if they're making mistakes, that's when they need them most.
That's the gist of what Thomas Frank has been saying in his pre-match press conferences too. As the ball goes out to play for a Spurs throw, right in front of the Newcastle technical area. I can see Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall, his long-time assistant, down there. Jed Spence will take the throw. Very few options in the lily-white shirts. He has to go backwards to Sarr. And this is the criticism of Tottenham often at home this season, where they've won just 10 points in the Premier League, sideways and backwards. And they've ended up from part way inside the Newcastle half, going all the way back to the goalkeeper.
There aren't enough options, and there aren't enough players finding options, finding bits of space, demanding to receive the ball. There should be 2, if not 3 options for each time a player is on the ball. Which one of these 2 or 3 do I pass? And there's almost none apart from just passing the ball back. That's about confidence, but you need character when you're playing for Spurs, especially at home when you're under pressure. In terms of wrestling back control of this game, midfielders, perhaps Sarr, Bissouma and Conor Gallagher need to get hold of the ball.
The rain returns to North London as Byrne whips in across for Newcastle from the left-hand side. It's overhit and the ball spits up off the turf, bounces over Trippier, and now Xavi Simons driving forward on the counter. Only Solanke really up with him. Simons has held it up. Audebert is there as well. He's still managed to hold on to the ball despite 2 or 3 in the dark blue shirts converging on him. Simons, the Dutchman, who has impressed for Spurs over the course of this season, finding Pat Matar. He's about 25 yards out left of centre. Again, Newcastle have got plenty behind the ball. Sarr goes backwards to Van der Ven as the heavy rain returns here in North London. Probably the heaviest that it's been all evening. Sarr across to Dragusin. Number 3 stands at walking pace here on the halfway line. Sarr collects possession, drifting into a central area just forward of the centre circle, inside Newcastle territory. Back it goes on the angle to Dragusin. All very patient and cautious this from Tottenham here. Audebert looking to meander infield from the right-hand side. He's nudged it forward to Solanke, who picks up the pace on the turn into the area. Shot from the angle, charged down by Botman. Solanke looking lively. Nudges it back out wide right to Archie Gray. Gray with an in-swinging cross. Solanke trying to chest it down on the edge of the area. Smuggled upfield by Newcastle United. And now Gordon can find Willock. Willock holds on to the ball. Does very well under the challenge of Dragusin to roll the pass up to the halfway line. Van der Ven sliding in with 2 feet on Elanga. Got to the ball. No foul given. I thought rightly so. Spence now for Spurs. A little better from Tottenham, but he's run into Kieran Trippier. He was all right foot there, Jed Spence. Now Simons' turn to slide in on Elanga. Last touch off the Tottenham man. It is a throw to Newcastle United. It's 0-0, and here's Scott Minton.
Yeah, I thought the ball over the top actually for Anthony Gordon was really on. Just wasn't played it. But what I do like is, we said at the start of the game, want to see Anthony Elanga having the sort of form that he had at Forest. And while he's not been brilliant tonight, at least he's getting on the ball. He's trying to make things happen. He looks confident. It's up against Jed Spencer, an excellent fullback who's really, really quick and very good in one-on-one situations. So it's a great battle there between those two for sure.
Scott's old club Chelsea in front against Leeds United live on Talk Radio. João Pedro has scored. Anthony Gordon from the right with a low cross for Newcastle. Charged down by Van der Ven. Corner number 8 of the first half for Newcastle United, and Leicester have gone 1-0 up in the Championship against Southampton. Divine Mukasa has got that goal on a night where Leicester, who've had that points deduction of course, really need a win. It's now 2-0 to Leicester City, and Patson Daka has got the second against Southampton. You're up to date around the grounds around the country. Corner to Newcastle, to be delivered in by Elanga, right-footed, headed away, and it drops down to Ramsey on the half volley, and he lashes it only just wide. That was inches beyond Vicario's right-hand post, and it must have taken a slight deflection on its way through, because it's yet another Newcastle corner.
Well, I was expecting the back of the net to just bulge there. It's actually just ended up being about 1.5 yards wide, but yes, got the deflection. Again, it's all Newcastle.
Guimaraes with the in-swinger, and Vicario stays on his line. Anthony Gordon goes up and heads it wide from only 2 or 3 yards out, albeit he was under the challenge of Dragusin right in front of goal. Another nervy moment for Tottenham's number 1, but in the end it ends up as a goal kick.
Well, I'm not saying Anthony Gordon is having like a 9 out of 10, but what I would say is when we talked before the game, when we looked at the team sheet, you know, you've got Voltemada and Vissa, and obviously you can throw in Asula as well, all on the bench. So it's certainly a gamble in a way, but Newcastle are absolutely dominating this game, both with and without the ball.
2 away wins in the Premier League this season, Scott.
You wouldn't believe it, would you?
And not scored in half of their away matches. Barnes wriggling towards the left corner of the penalty area. Good lunging challenge by Sarr. Just managed to get to the ball. And there was a foul earlier on in that move on Audebert anyway. So Spurs are going to get the physios on, and I'm sure Thomas Frank is going to call 1 or 2 of his players over to the near side touchline, because it's been far from an impressive first half an hour from Tottenham Hotspur. 0-0 here, and for the latest odds you can head to William Hill, the official betting partner of TalkSport 2's Premier League coverage right now. Spurs to win at 5-2, Newcastle 21-10, and the draw is 21-20. That's all thanks to William Hill, 18 plus, gambleaware.org. Can you tell me, can you tell our listener what Tottenham are trying to do here, Scott Minto, what the aim of this is?
Not really.
Because I'm struggling.
No, I mean, look, it's a 4-3-3.
Yeah.
You know, Xavi Simons is not your typical winger, so sometimes he'll come inside, but Wilson Odobert is, and I think that's their option to get that ball over the top that we mentioned before of Dan Burn for him to race onto. And when that's happened, he's looked dangerous, and we do hope he's going to be okay. By the way, it wasn't a foul. It wasn't a foul on him, and it wasn't a head injury, so the referee should have just played on. But, you know, what are they trying to do? They're trying to do a 4-3-3, but honestly, I kind of feel for Thomas Frank in a way, because there's only so much he can do. It's down to the players to get on the ball. And in the 4-3-3, we've got Yves Bissouma there, Pap Sarr and Conor Gallagher who can be the legs around it. None of them are getting hold of the ball and just slowing the game down. And when they do have the ball, there's not enough options going forward. So that's why they're going backwards all the time. So that's why Newcastle, both with and without the ball, I have to say, have been superb so far. And Eddie Howe will be disappointed. They're not at least one ahead. But I would say I wouldn't expect Spurs to be as bad, you know, going forward. And I was here not that long ago in the game against Manchester City where that was a Jekyll and Hyde performance. So I'd expect them to be a lot better in the second half. And at least from their perspective, they're not 2-0 down at the moment. But they probably should be.
Well, the last thing here Thomas Frank needs is yet another injury, but some prolonged treatment going on for Wilson Odobert. Tomorrow in the Premier League, Forest against Wolves here at 7:30 live on TalkSport 2. At the same time, you can catch Aston Villa against Brighton and Crystal Palace against Burnley on the TalkSport app, and Manchester City against Fulham will be on Talk Radio. Sunderland against Liverpool tomorrow at 8:15 is on Talk Sport. And then Thursday night, the league leaders Arsenal go to Brentford in a game that again is live on Talk Sport. We've got 24 live games over the next week because we've got 10 in the FA Cup, so plenty to come, including Newcastle's FA Cup tie at Aston Villa, which is where Scott and I will be on Saturday.
And producer Sal.
And producer Sal. Don't forget producer Sal.
DJ Sal.
Well, Odobert's still being treated here as we get a shot on the monitor of a rather gloomy-looking Richarlison watching on, one of many to be out at the moment due to injury for Spurs. And I think that's a really strong bit of mitigation for Thomas Frank, the lack of availability that he's had from so many of his players. And still we wait for Odobert. The stretcher did come out at one point, but it's not been used. So maybe that takes away some of the seriousness of the injury, but we'll keep an eye out because I wonder whether Tottenham will have to make a change here.
Yeah, and when you look at, you know, there's injuries everywhere and it's part of the game, and that's the whole reason why you want a really good squad. But Kulusevski, Maddison, Kudus, Bentancur, Richarlison, Ben Davis, Bergvall, Porro, Danso. You know, Udogi's now injured. Romero's got a 4-match ban. Obviously, a part of it is luck, but another part of it is they can't even be training that much. That's the thing. So it's just the ferocity of the Premier League and the Champions League and what goes with it as well. And that's why the squad building is so important. And they haven't got enough creative players, I think.
Well, after that prolonged treatment, Odobert walks off the pitch. It seemed fairly innocuous at first glance, the challenge with Harvey Barnes, but maybe it was the way that he landed rather awkwardly. He's going to have to come off, and Matisse Tell is a like-for-like replacement out on the Tottenham wing position.
Yeah, that's a shame. Obviously one for Spurs generally going forward, and we hope he's going to be okay for the next game. And the fact that he's walking off is a very, very good sign. And it did look a bad twist, but even for tonight, you know, when that ball was played over the top each time, he looked dangerous against Dan Burn when Spurs were able to get the ball.
Which hasn't been very often in this game, as Tottenham thunder the ball downfield, and now Xavi Simons, 25 yards out, running a goal and shooting, takes a big deflection. It'll bounce down towards Nick Pope, and the goalkeeper, who we've barely mentioned in this first half, through the first 35 minutes, is able to gather in relatively straightforward fashion. Still 0-0 here. Oxford 0, Norwich 2 is the latest score in the Championship, a second of the night for Mohamed Touré. Relatively quiet in the Premier League so far this evening, but certainly here Newcastle will feel they should be in front. Willock striding forward, blocked off by Gallagher. That's a foul. And a free kick to Newcastle United midway inside the Tottenham half. He was sandwiched in between two white shirts there, Willock, who's been quite a composed presence on the field so far for Newcastle, Scott.
I think he's played really well tonight in this first, 35 minutes so far. He's got on the ball, he's made some driving runs. Whenever he's got wide, he's tried to have a shot or get the crosses in. Yeah, it's been a very good performance from him.
Spurs 0, Newcastle 0 on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now you can stream the Premier League flexibly with a Now Sports Day or month membership, 18 plus, stream via internet, terms apply. So a free kick which is very central here for Newcastle, not a great deal of angle for Kieran Trippier. Tottenham holding a relatively high defensive line, about 2 or 3 yards forward of the 18-yard box. Trippier whips the ball out to the left, where it's controlled by Barnes, who delivers an in-swinging cross, blocked by the first man, the hard-working Gallagher. Back it goes now to Trippier on the halfway line. Everybody inside the Tottenham half, bar Newcastle goalkeeper Pope. Away on the left is Barnes. We've got a bird's-eye view of the action here, high up in the main stand. Trippier with the angled ball, left to right to the near side. Elanga lets it run across his body, taking on Tell. Elanga rolls the ball infield towards Gordon, back to goal. Tottenham were slow to pick him up. Guimaraes delivers high, header away by Van der Ven. It bounces down towards Xavi Simons, over his head. Spurs then on the defensive once more. Van der Ven with a cushioned header, nudged out to the left. Tell knocks the ball forward up to halfway. It's hopeful Simons can't get there. Easy for Botman to go back to Pope.
But you see where Dominic Solanke was? He was like halfway in his own half. So if the ball then... He's trying to help his team out, but someone needs to tell him, just stay up there, because each time we clear the ball, it's just coming back all the time. And Newcastle are dominating this first half. The Spurs midfielders need to get hold of it, and then each Spurs player needs to be brave to make an option, so they don't just keep passing back all the time.
There's nothing to lift this Tottenham crowd at all. Gray in the right-back position, back to a very tentative-looking Vicario, who watches the ball onto his right foot, then plays the easy pass to Van der Ven. Van der Ven rattles it forward 30 yards to Tell, who held it up well, fouled by Trippier, tackle from behind, free kick to Spurs. Van der Ven, the captain, tries to take it quickly and inject some life into this Tottenham team. Simons nudges it forward under pressure from Ramsey. He was caught late right in front of Anthony Taylor, and that's a Spurs free kick 10 yards or so into opposition territory. We've got, 6.5 minutes of normal time, plus probably, Scott Minto, quite a bit of added time to go.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's 0-0, but it's an interesting game, intriguing game. Ramsey not happy with Anthony Taylor for that one, but it's a foul. It's a definite foul. You've gone to ground, you haven't got the ball. It's one of those, a bit of a deflection, but the likes of Xavi Simons and Conor Gallagher, obviously Matthias Tell as well now, got to get a hold of the ball. Papsar, Ibasuma, be brave, get hold of the ball, keep the ball, and then look for the movement, allow Dominic Solanke to get further up the pitch.
Still drizzling rain in the air here. Spurs take the free kick short, then it's clattered forward by Spence, out to the right, header square by Dragusin along the edge of the 18-yard line. Botman there to clear for Newcastle. Now Barnes scampering forward on the counter-attack over the halfway line, ball out to the left. Gordon had to retreat to retrieve it, but he has possession midway inside Tottenham territory. Now out on the inside right is Ramsey, back in field to Guimaraes. Guimaraes works it wide out to the near side of the field, and Kieran Trippier now back to Malik Chow. Chow carries the ball forward towards the edge of the D, and then Willock back to Botman. The one thing that you can criticise Newcastle for is a slight lack of cutting edge in this game. Good way to pass by Guimaraes. Trippier with the cross, headed up into the air by Van der Ven, and it'll be brought out of the air by Tell. Tell watching the ball drop onto his right foot. Spence back to Vicario, and Vicario will clear out to the right back Archie Gray.
But each time they're looking up and there's nothing on, so they're passing it across and then looking up and there's nothing on, and they're passing it across and there's nothing on, and Archie Gray's got the ball in the corner there. He is, and he just can't get out. He's going to try and knock it long and hope that Dominic Solanke can get on the end of it.
He can't get on the end of that high pass forward. Chow assertively in the way for Newcastle United, who, with Ramsey trying to poke the ball through to Willett, he's blocked off, and now Spurs can counter. I say counter, barely anybody was upfield. Ramsey's going to get a yellow card for fouling Sarr, or is he? No, it's gone the other way, and a yellow card for Sarr for diving.
Wow, well, I'd like to see that one again, because from up here it looked as if, and it's a really good decision as we look at the replay. Perhaps Sarr's come across Jacob Ramsey, who's put his hands in the air and almost stopped to try and run, and perhaps Sarr's hoping there's contact there. And I think that's just an example of how much under pressure Tottenham players are when they receive the ball. They got the ball, and they're hoping they can get a foul just to get a 30-second rest. That's actually good play from Ramsey, just moving out the way.
Well done, Anthony Taylor.
Yes.
Bruno Guimaraes from the centre circle, floating it high and long. Up goes Chow, won the initial header, but the second ball is headed clear by Solanke, nodded back in towards Byrne with a downward header inside the penalty area, right on the 6-yard line. Difficult header, even for somebody who's 6'6" and towering above just about everyone on the field, and he couldn't direct it on target, and it's gone wide.
Yeah, he found himself in that centre forward position, didn't he? And perhaps Sarr just gave him a little nudge, which meant he couldn't position himself to then jump exactly how he wanted to. He was only 6 yards out. If he was able to get a proper header on that, I mean, he's a really good header of the ball, and not just because of his height, then Vicario would have had no chance.
TalkSport 2, 3 minutes of the first half to go, and it remains goalless between Spurs and Newcastle. They'll be underway at London Stadium shortly on TalkSport for West Ham Man United. Crunching tackle by Botman, sliding in on Spence, very well timed, and he squeezes the ball out of play, does the Dutchman, for a Tottenham throw.
That's almost the first and the best bit of football we've seen from Spurs. A little bit of passing, movement, running off the ball. If that pass had been better, then Spence would have been not necessarily in, but certainly running at the back line of Newcastle.
Bissouma, Tottenham number 8, selected ahead of Polinia tonight. Red boots on, he'll play it back at no pace whatsoever to Dragusin. All a bit leaden-footed here from Spurs. Bissouma on the halfway line again. Newcastle happy just to sit deep with all 11 behind the ball here in a sort of 4-5-1 shape. Yeah,
but at least Spurs are just trying to control it and slow down the tempo of the game, because the quicker it goes, it suits Newcastle. So yeah, they're not going anywhere, but first things first, get hold of the ball, pass it, take the sting out of the situation, just suck them in a little bit, and then hopefully there will be some movement up there.
High raking ball by Dragusin, easily chested down by Byrne, and one back by Newcastle in the dark blue and orange. And now Ramsey split the back line with a lovely ball, and Joe Willock could be clear. Willock into the penalty area with the shot into the bottom corner. Beautifully worked, and the former Arsenal man puts Newcastle into the lead at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You can't say it hasn't been coming. Spurs cut apart right through the middle, and Willock with a fine finish, curling it into the bottom corner. Tottenham dreadful, and they are behind. Spurs 0, Newcastle 1.
Right, so we're just saying keep the ball, and if you're not going anywhere, it's fine. So what happens? They kept it. It goes to Dragusin, and he plays a long ball. It's easy for Dan Burn to cut out, and then suddenly everyone's diving in, and Dragusin's one of those players as well. And then suddenly Willock spun in behind. There's no way, in fact, it's not Willock who spun him behind, it was Harvey Barnes, but then Willock was the one who picked the ball up. And he's just come inside, and it's far too easy. But it's all because Dragusin just forced the ball, and then suddenly Spurs are trying to win the ball back without being close. I mean, look, I like Van der Ven as a defender.
Checking it.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's offside or not, so they will check it. It would be interesting to see whether Willock would be. And as I say, it was Barnes, I think, that ran off the back of Dragusin that I thought he was going to pick it up, but Willock got there first. But Van der Ven is an excellent defender, he really is, but he kind of just stretches and doesn't even look, and his body doesn't stop the ball. It was poor defending from him, and I mean, right on half-time, you're absolutely right, Joe. Newcastle deserve this. They deserve to be a goal, if not 2 up. But the Spurs fans will be absolutely praying that it was offside, and this is tight.
Is there anything in it, Scott? It's very hard to see from the pictures that we're being given here in the commentary box as to whether this is going to stand or not. We are into 5 minutes of added time, by the way. Newcastle think they're in front, but are they?
Well, they're going to have to get the ruler and pencil out, aren't they? And
oh, yes.
draw a line along that. It's difficult to see that one. That is so tight. Either way, it's millimetres. And this is where I feel...
Spirit of the game for me says that should be a goal.
You give it to the forward side. I mean, I'm very much offside is offside, but this is so close. I'm seeing another angle where it's not the best angle where you think in line. It looks in that particular angle, it looks like he's onside. But no.
And the goal has been ruled out. Offside against Willock. We didn't really get a clear look at it, but that must have been by the tiniest of margins. Willock and Van der Ven, and I have to say from the pictures that we are seeing, and I don't know whether they were the exact pictures being looked at by the VAR, but we couldn't tell.
No, we've got no semi-automated technology to look at here. We're not even looking at an angle that's bang in line, so I do hope that is quite clearly offside.
Still 0-0. Willock's goal is ruled out, and Tottenham get a very fortunate reprieve with 90 seconds of the 5 added having been played in the first half here on TalkSport 2. Here is Harvey Barnes driving up the middle from the inside left. Willock trying to tuck it wide out to the near side of the field, but Tottenham with just enough white shirts back that they can clear. Leicester 3, Southampton 0. Abdul Fatawu still in the first half in the Championship at the King Power Stadium, and Iliman Ndiaye has scored a penalty to give Everton the lead at home to Bournemouth. So Everton lead 1-0, and that game is live over on the TalkSport app. They're underway at London Stadium 2 between West Ham United and Manchester United. That is live on TalkSport. And you're seeing the offside. We'll get a word from Scott on the offside in a moment. Newcastle coming forward again. Now they've lost possession. That is the tightest offside VAR, I think, has ever given, Scott Minto.
Well, and now we're hearing boos because, again, there's passes back, and it just goes to show that there's a complete lack of confidence here. It's a massive decision for Spurs because you get the feeling if they go 1-0 down that the fans will turn even more. In fact, they've stayed behind the players really well, considering how much Newcastle have dominated this first half, and should be 2, let alone 1-0 up. There's a massive moment to still be 0-0.
2 minutes of the 5 added to play. That offside, barely a hair's breadth in it. Willock just ahead of Van der Ven, and I mean just.
Well, he should have completely shaved his head then, because it was literally half an inch of his hair.
He could not have been any closer. 0-0. Tell wriggling away down the left-hand side. He's got 2 Newcastle defenders in front of him, nudges it infield to Gallagher, who's very quickly dispossessed by Bruno Guimaraes. And now Newcastle on the break, floated forward by Elanga. Away on the left is Harvey Barnes. Gordon in the middle, out goes Dragoseen. Oh, and he looked like he tripped him to me. That's a free kick, and it could well be a yellow card for Dragoseen. Maybe Anthony Taylor's going to let him off. The Tottenham fans are furious, but from our angle, on the opposite side of the field, I will admit, it looked like a clear foul.
I think he's fouled him, but Harvey Barnes knows what he's doing. He's got in front of Dragoseen, who's put his arm up a little bit. It's a foul. I don't think there's any more than that. I think he's made a bit of a meal of it. So I actually think Anthony Taylor's made a really good decision there.
Yeah, no yellow card for Dragoseen. Half-time at Everton. They lead Bournemouth by a 0-0. Live on the TalkSport app tonight. Half-time 2 at Stamford Bridge on Talk Radio. Chelsea 1, Leeds United 0 through João Pedro. Every Premier League game of this midweek is live on the TalkSport network. Plenty forward here for this free kick for Newcastle United. Bruno Guimaraes standing over it into the 5th minute of first half added time. Guimaraes delivers right-footed, poor header away by Archie Gray. It's come back out to Guimaraes about 30 yards out. He's poked it wide into the path of Willock. Willock looks up, angle ball to the right-hand side. Elanga, underlapping run from Guimaraes, nudges it back to Elanga again. Elanga close to the corner flag, plays it backwards to Willock. Willock wicks in a dangerous cross. Chow! Saved by the goalkeeper, and Chow pokes in the rebound. And Newcastle do lead by a 0-0, and it is thoroughly deserved They've been knocking at the door, Newcastle United, and in the 5th minute of first half stoppage time, they have the lead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and the Spurs fans cannot wait to get out of their seats and head for the concourse areas. An aimless, lifeless Tottenham display so far, and Newcastle take full advantage. Spurs 0, Newcastle 1. Chow at the second attempt.
Yeah, and look, we've said it, haven't we? It's been all Newcastle. And it would be a bit of a travesty if they'd gone in at half-time at 0-0, but you've got to find a way to score a goal. They thought they did just a few minutes ago, but no one stopped the cross. And then the header, Malik Chow's got in there. It's a good save from Macario, but he's the one who's reacted the quicker. For me, it's about really trying to stop that cross. And then if you can't beat him in the air, nudge him so that he can't actually get a proper header on it. And he gets in front of Papsar first of all with the header, and then he sees that Macario has just pushed the ball out towards him. Papsar's on his back foot, Malik Chow's on his front foot, and he stabs it home again right on half-time. Worst possible time again for Spurs to concede.
Archie Gray couldn't get there. Tottenham are on the attack straight from kick-off. Solanke's in the middle, and he was well tackled by Byrne as Xavi Simons whipped in a delightful ball with the outside of his right foot, but Solanke thwarted by the big Newcastle defender.
And that's the best chance we've seen, isn't it, from Spurs?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, at least they've reacted there, but it's not been good enough at half-time, and it's going to be fascinating to see what Thomas Frank does at half-time. Obviously, when I was here a couple of weeks ago, he changed it from a 3 to a 4. It worked in the second half. What's he going to do now?
What is he going to do? Where next for Thomas Frank? Yet more deafening boos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs dreadful in the first half. Nothing they tried came off. They barely tried to get out of their own half. Not sure what the game plan was, but Newcastle have taken full advantage. They got the lead that they deserve on the 45 plus 5 minute mark. 5th minute of injury time when Malik Chow prodded home at the second attempt. Joe Willock had earlier had a goal ruled out for the tiniest of margins, an offside decision given by the VAR, but it is Newcastle who are in front, and the only disappointment for Eddie Howe, Scott Minto, is that it's not more than 1-0.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think the scoreline flatters Spurs, not Newcastle. I mean, the away side has had more possession, 11 shots to 4, 4 shots on target, because they've had the goal disallowed as well. Spurs have not had 1 shot on target, and it's difficult to sum up a half just with those immediate stats, but I think he does it pretty well. Not good enough. Not good enough at all. Quite early on, they looked dangerous with the ball over the top of Dan Burn with the pace of Odegaard, but the Spurs midfield are not getting hold of this game at all. I think they got away with it with the offside, and then right on half-time, just go and try and stop the cross. Great header from Chow, and he reacts quicker. Newcastle fully deserve to be leading at half-time.
What is the game plan from Tottenham, Scott? Because there doesn't seem to be any positivity in the performance whatsoever.
No. What we're seeing, I don't know, Joe. Honestly, I don't know. Because I'm seeing a group of players who are so devoid of confidence. These are talented players. You know, Xavi Simons has looked dangerous at times. Dominic Solanke has played like a defensive midfielder trying to help out his side, but he's not getting the ball, not getting any service, but he's somehow got a way to stay up because the ball's just coming back all the time. It's attack v defence. You know, Conor Gallagher, where are you? Ibasuma, where are you? Papsar. I thought he did okay at the weekend, actually, especially considering they're down to 10 men, but, you know, he got done on the header there and on the reaction. Whenever he gets the ball, it's not the only one. The only option is passing back. It's a lack of confidence. These are not bad players, but they're looking very bad at the moment, especially at the Tottenham Hotspur football stadium.
Should give credit to Newcastle, of course. Really good away performance so far.
It's a brilliant away performance, and if you said to me that they only won twice on the road this season, I'd say, what are you talking about? Honestly, you know, and Eddie Howe under pressure, what are you talking about? This is a fantastic performance, but it is only 1-0. And I go back to what happened a couple of weeks ago. Okay, you know, changes were made, and trust me, he's got to do something, Thomas Frank, in the second half. And they were brilliant, actually. They really were. And we've seen it before against Manchester City, and they're going to need to do something here as well.
Okay, Scott Minto is with us here on TalkSport 2. You're listening to Game Day exclusive live with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now you can stream the Premier League flexibly with a Now Sports Day or month membership. 18 plus, streamed via internet. Terms apply.
Your live sports station.
Oh, what a move. This is TalkSport 2. Game Day exclusive on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream a massive month of sport this February on Sky Sports with a Now month membership. 18 plus, stream via internet. Terms apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a tree, playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
In 10 metres, take a left at the pile of washing.
Sorry, what?
At the Valley of Toy Dinosaurs, approach the kitchen with no room to cook. Turn right at the floordrobe. You've reached chaos. Recalculating.
No,
Suggest immediate course correction to IKEA for fitted wardrobes, children's storage and cupboard organisers.
Find your way back to calm. Discover smart storage at your local IKEA now. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
The Philly cheese stack is back at McDonald's and it's still intensely cheesy. Imagine the cheesiest thing ever. Now cover it in cheese. Add 2 beef patties, cheddar cheese sauce, crispy onions, and even more cheese. The Philly cheese stack. Did we mention it's cheesy? Available until the 16th of March 2026 from 11 a.m. Fees apply to delivery orders. Price and participation may vary, subject to availability.
Incredible scenes here at the Village Hotel's Pub and Grill. Fans are taking their place in the fan zone with stadium-style seating, amazing views on huge screens, and we're underway. Lovely bit of dribbling there as she tackles the burger stack. Now they're getting down the wings. Sticky barbecue, unbelievable. Oh, and he's hit the bar. And it's there! His favourite ice-cold beer. What a result! Catch every game live in the Pub and Grill at Village. Get in! Find out more at villagehotels.com.
It's another day at Screwfix, and Sir Mo Farah is still getting to grips with things.
So, Mo, with Sprint Delivery, we get the order to them in as little as 20 minutes. Okay? Mo? Mo?
Done. He was on the 18th floor.
Nice work. But, you know we use delivery riders, right?
Oh, now you tell me.
Sprint it in as little as 20 minutes. Screwfix. No stopping you. Conditions and geographical restrictions apply.
Oh, he's really opened up the Sun newspaper there, Jim. No question, Clive. Straight in the middle and right into the free pull-out goals. Goals, yes. The ultimate football coverage with the best expert writers. In-depth tactical analysis. Unrivaled coverage from every league and all the latest football action.
Think you've said it all there, Clive.
Sorry, Jim.
Not to worry, I was reading my copy of Goals anyway.
Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday only in the Sun.
Game Day exclusive on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
The UK's #1 football experience.
Kick off live on TalkSport 2.
Who doesn't love a round of midweek Premier League games?
Watkins turning and shooting brilliantly. Edge of the area, thumping it in.
Each match, this week, this month, are very, very important.
Welbeck with the header, 1-1. Jumping is Lacroix with the flick. Sarr hits it in for 3.
I love my team, I love Crystal Palace, I love the fans.
And Burnley are back on level terms. Left-footed shot is in. That's the one he wanted. Erling Haaland, left-footed.
What I'm saying is what you have to do to beat Fulham. What you have to do better, because if we don't improve that, we will not win.
Wilson controls it. Right-footed poke into the corner. And Fulham lead again. Morgan Gibbs White based up by the goalkeeper. He chips it into the far corner. And Nottingham Forest are back in the game.
Milgard has steered it in. Wolves have finally scored. Sunderland bring it forward here. Right-footed effort from Talby.
Back into the path of Florian Wirtz, and he pokes it into Agatino. And he nabs it through the legs of Nick Pope, and there's the equaliser for Liverpool.
If we don't have Champions League football, it's definitely not been an acceptable season.
Yes, there's no fewer than 5 live commentaries tomorrow night on the TalkSport network. On the TalkSport app, you can listen to Aston Villa against Brighton, Palace against Burnley, and on Talk Radio it's Manchester City against Fulham. Then over on TalkSport there's live and exclusive commentary of Sunderland against Liverpool. Here on 2 you can listen to Nottingham Forest against Wolves. Sean Dyche is another manager under pressure. His Forest side was soundly beaten 3-1 by Leeds on Friday, and Forest are now just 3 points above the bottom 3. Dyche spoke to the media earlier this afternoon and defended his record at the club.
It's just a reality of the modern life as a manager. You know, on the same day I'm manager of the month, they're saying I should be sacked, and the media are saying it. I worked that one out. That's a new one on me, and I've been doing this a long time. I was reading just today about Eddie Howe, brilliant manager doing a brilliant job. Should he be sacked? And 3 weeks ago they're saying he should be Man United manager. So this is the modern way. You know, this is life. It's not about good or bad. It's not about my opinion, by the way. This is a life opinion. I'm not protecting myself. This is just the way life is. Everyone wants everything now. They want it. Clickbait is the new key thing in life. You know, why do you think all the videos on social media are always like 10 or 15 seconds long? It's just life, you know, and that mirrors often, in my experience, I've been in football all my life, and what goes on in life often goes in stadiums and their thoughts around it. There should always be pressure on managers because that's our job. We're used to delivering or trying to deliver. You know, 1 loss in 5 in the Premier League, 8 points in 5, win the next one, it's 11 points in 6, and everyone knows that form and where that goes. So this is the reality of the job we do, and it's not relevant whether it's right or wrong because it's just there. So I don't get too high with the highs, I don't get too low with the lows. I've had knocks in my time, I've been praised in my time. I just try and keep an even keel about it and concentrate on what I do, and that's trying to get a group of players to win football matches. Not just me, my staff, and of course them as well. That's just modern life.
Have you had any contact with the owner or the hierarchy?
The ownership have always had contact with me, and he's well aware, I made this clear to all of you, he's well aware that this wasn't a situation where it's just smooth sailing all the way through. He's seen some of the hiccups, some of the good days, some of the not so good days, etc., etc. But, you know, we come off the Palace game with a 10v11 situation, got a really important point and a good one, and he's congratulating me. So I don't think over one game is that extreme where he's suddenly going to go, right, we need to change everything at the club for the 3rd time, but 4th time even. But you never know. But I'm a realist, and he is as well, I think, and he's been very good with that about the current situation and what we took over here.
So that is Sean Dyche there. Nottingham Forest against Wolves tomorrow, live and exclusive here on TalkSport 2. Manchester City against Fulham on Talk Radio. Sunderland against Liverpool on TalkSport. We'll hear from Arne Slot in a few moments. Villa against Brighton and Palace against Burnley on the TalkSport app tomorrow night. Brentford against Arsenal is on TalkSport on Thursday. Scott Minto, your old club West Ham enjoying something of a revival, although it is still 0-0 against Manchester United tonight. That game live on TalkSport. What about Forest? How much pressure is Sean Dyche under? Rightly or wrongly, we know what the Forest board are all about when it comes to under pressure managers.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me tell you, that owner there will not think twice if he thinks Forest are going to go down to do something, because obviously the window's gone, so he can't bring any more players in. Oh, do you know what? I actually thought not that long ago, after the Wolves game, after the Forest game, that West Ham were definitely down, and somehow, well, they came here, dropped the Tottenham, gave them a bit of an injection.
They seem to do that for quite a few
lot of
teams.
Yeah, and I do feel for the Spurs fans here, but, you know, they lose this game tonight and West Ham find a way to win. There's only 3 points between them and Spurs. But you talk about Forest, I think they're the most vulnerable, obviously, if you look at the table with West Ham in good form at the moment. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there tonight, especially in that second half. I mean, Nottingham Forest tomorrow have got Wolves. They quite simply have to win that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I would worry for Sean if they lost it against, you know, the worst team in the Premier League, who are still trying to make sure they're not the worst team ever in the Premier League in terms of points. So that's a really important one. But if they do get the victory, which you would expect them to, I think that will. And if West Ham don't win, then that will just obviously give them a bit of a breather. But yeah, I know. I think if the owners looked as if they were, don't want to use the word much more stable, but perhaps someone who didn't want to go down the route of sacking, then I'd say I think Sean's okay, because it's difficult to come in. You know, he's already been a new manager. He's trying to, you know, change things around and make them more difficult to beat. They've obviously got the Europa League to deal with as well. it's not an easy thing to combine Europe and the Premier League, as Spurs are finding out as well, and even Newcastle. But yeah, I do worry for Sean, I do.
OK, it's live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow. Nottingham Forest against Wolves in the Premier League. Over on TalkSport, Liverpool take on Sunderland, who've got a brilliant home record, and indeed Sunderland are only 3 points behind the 6th place Reds after Manchester City's win at Anfield on Sunday. Arne Slot has been reflecting on a difficult season for the defending champions.
The players are not used to losing a lot or having a lot of draws. I'm not used to that as well. It's always more of a challenge after you lose a game of football to get them going again than after a win tell them that we were not as good as they might think they are. We've tried a lot, and sometimes it feels, I can fairly say that we haven't been lucky. That is definitely true. Is it then unlucky or is this part of who we are? Yeah, that is something we can only find out in the upcoming 3 to 4 months.
Arne Slot there. It's interesting, isn't it, Scott Minto? I think a lot of people feel Sunderland can get the better of Liverpool tomorrow at the Stadium of Light. Actually, they've already taken a point off Liverpool this season.
Yeah, and they're the only team, Sunderland, in the Premier League yet to lose a game at home. So it just goes to show how...
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, when you think of where they were, last season, at the end of last season. Well, what a job the manager, the recruitment, the players have done there. Absolutely sensational. And we're discussing that we don't think Liverpool can go to Sunderland, a team that's just been promoted, and get a win. And if the scoreline stays the same with Everton and Liverpool lose tomorrow, then Everton finish this particular midweek ahead of Liverpool.
Who would have thought that? Everton above Liverpool at this stage of the season. Sunderland haven't beaten Liverpool since March 2012. Nicholas Bentner scored the winner. Would you believe it, that day, at a 1-0 home win? That game is live tomorrow over on TalkSport. João Palhinha ready to come on for Spurs here at half-time. Off goes Yves Bissouma, so that's a straight swap in midfield. Interesting change for Thomas Frank there, Scott Minto.
Yeah, I think it's the right one. I don't think Bissouma was given his back four any protection at all. I like Palhinha. I think he's a really good player. I think he's very good in his position, and I think he will give them more protection. But what Spurs fans will be hoping for is the second half that they had against Manchester City, because that was just poor, not good enough.
Well, it goes to show that they can turn around games that seem to be going totally against them. Tottenham hope that is the case tonight. Newcastle lead by 1-0 here, live on TalkSport 2, and the second half about to begin as Thomas Frank emerges from the tunnel and takes his seat in the dugout. The pressure will grow on the Spurs manager if they don't come back to get at least something from this game. Remember, just 2 home Premier League wins this season so far. Newcastle kicked the second half off, and Malik Chow, the goal scorer, immediately sweeping the ball out to the left, and Dan Burn, who flicks the header infield. Spurs have it back with Conor Gallagher in the right back position. It's Tottenham in lily white and dark blue, Newcastle in the dark blue shirts, orange shorts and orange socks. Spurs have Vicario in goal, Gray on the ball now, Dragusin, Van der Ven and Spence at the back, Sarr, João Palhinha on at half-time, and Gallagher in midfield. Solanke up front, flanked by Xavi Simons and Matisse Tell. For Newcastle, Pope in goal, had nothing to do so far. Trippier, Chow, Botman and Byrne at the back, with a midfield 3 as Vicario clears away somewhat unconvincingly for Tottenham. Headed on by Bruno Guimaraes. Anthony Gordon with his back to goal. Willock is a runner ahead of him. It comes out to Guimaraes. Steers it left. Harvey Barnes. Defenders sliding in. Barnes at a very tight angle. Holds the ball up. Whips in the cross. Headed away by Dragusin. Well, they were nearly in there, Newcastle United, for goal number 2. Willock, Guimaraes and Ramsey in midfield. Barnes, Elanga and Gordon are the front 3. We're just over a minute into the second half. Jacob Ramsey, edge of the box, infield. Anthony Gordon trying to wriggle his way through. Double deflection on that, and it's bobbled behind off Gordon for a goal kick to Spurs. Some of the Spurs fans yet to retake their seats. It looked like they were about to concede a second goal there, Scott Minto.
Well, you say yet to retake their seats. I do hope they do come back.
Well, they've got to after what happened against Manchester City, surely.
Yeah. I think maybe what they've seen in the first half, is saying, well, we're not going to rush to come out, but yeah, they won't go home yet.
Anthony Elanga raiding down the inside right for Newcastle, goes down under the challenge of Spence. No penalty given by the referee. Spence's clearance is really poor. It's only gone as far as the corner of the box. Willock again for Newcastle, on his feet now, tries to cross and it's blocked by Polinia. Tottenham yet to wake up early in the second half. Thomas Frank watches on with his arms folded from the near side touchline. We're high above the Tottenham dugout here in the commentary position. Spurs coming forward now with Tell. He's run 30 yards into the Newcastle half. Malik Chow comes across to sweep it off his toes, and now Harvey Barnes is racing through the middle and he's played it on to Willock. Willock sliding in, trying to nudge it into the path of Gordon. Back comes Archie Gray, only away as far as Gordon, who shoots. Big deflection on that. Corner to Newcastle. Tottenham still in the dressing room, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a 4-2-3-1 now. Matthias Teller's gone to the left, Javi Simons is playing as a 10, and Gallagher's on the right. And Anthony Elanga feels like he should have got a penalty as Jed Spence tries to come back. There's a little bit of a nudge there, but not enough. No way is there enough contact to go down. I feel that the winger, he's gone for that one, and he's lost an opportunity to perhaps score a goal. But yeah, Papsar and Paulinho are there trying to sit in front of the back four, but Newcastle are just splitting them apart, aren't they?
Corner to Newcastle, away to our left at the north stand end, whipped in by Guimaraes and turned towards goal on the volley by Ramsey and deflected wide. Another corner. Now well into double figures in terms of corners, Newcastle, they lead 1-0.
But even there, it's not the best of corners, and it's not even above anybody. But Ramsey's the one who's got there first, and if Dragusin hadn't have got close to him, then who knows, that could have been 2-0.
Good noise from the Newcastle fans in their black and white shirts. Whipped in by Guimaraes right underneath the crossbar, nodded down. Ramsey's header blocked. Scramble in the penalty area. Could fall for Willock. Willock, was he tripped? Facing goal. Referee says no. Jason Tyndall appeals, the Newcastle assistant. Play continues. Newcastle have the ball again. Tottenham in danger of being run ragged here. Spurs infield to Ramsey, cleared away by Solanke. Tottenham 1-0 down, Newcastle first to every second ball at the moment. Did Willock have a shout for a penalty there, Scott Minter?
Well, Anthony Taylor's saying absolutely no way was it a penalty for him. I mean, it's almost pinball around there, isn't it? No, again, not for me. Javi Simons, he catches him a bit. I think he's... Do you know what? There's contact, and then you watch how someone goes down. And if they go down in almost in a natural way, then yeah, you can claim that's a penalty. I feel that wasn't a natural one, and you've got to be 100% sure to give penalties. And look, we've been criticising Tottenham a lot. I really think we should praise Newcastle. They've been absolutely superb. We talked at half-time about, you wouldn't believe they've only won 2 games on the road. The way they're playing, crisis? What crisis?
Looking for a first Premier League win since early January, Newcastle. Here is Xavi Simons, left of centre. Further wide on the overlap is Matthijs Tel, driving into the area and whipping a curling shot over the top of the bar. That was at least better from Tottenham. At last, some attacking intent.
Yeah, and you know what? All the while it's 1-0, as much as Newcastle have been dominating. Just takes one bit of brilliance from a Spurs player, or a mistake, of course. And that's much better. Yeah, the execution wasn't very good, but the ball was got out to Matthijs Tel. And he was able to get, and they'd be a little bit direct, cut inside. He tried to whip it into the top corner. Be some strike from there to beat Nick Pope, but much better from Spurs. And listen to the fans, they're desperate to get behind their team. They've got to be given something.
Here is Conor Gallagher carrying the ball down the near side, the Tottenham right. Jacob Ramsey comes across and is fouled by Gallagher. Ramsey on the retreat, and it's Tottenham, a Newcastle free kick. Tottenham bench, Kinski, Byfield, Kolomwani, Olusesi, Souza, Williams, Barnett and Rosewell. So a very youthful rest at the Tottenham bench. The Newcastle subs are Hall, Tonali, Jacob Murphy, Wissa, Ramsdale, Alex Murphy, Asula, Shahar and Nick Voltemar. A lot of options for Eddie Howe on the bench should he need them. Spurs haven't beaten Newcastle since December of 2023. 10 points at home they've won all season. Newcastle on the attack with the dangerous Barnes. Near side to left. Looks full of pace and trickery tonight, Harvey Barnes. Heavy ball by Bruno Guimaraes. Rolled along the left-hand edge of the penalty area. Is out of play. And that'll be a goal kick to Tottenham 7 minutes into the second half. The South Stand end, which is the end where most of the vocal Tottenham fans are, that spectacular end away to our right-hand side. If you haven't seen it, it's single-tiered with a semicircular top of the stand, and it looks really quite spectacular with the golden cockerel above it. They were chanting for Maurizio Pochettino's name earlier. Archie Gray raiding down the Tottenham right. Now he's into the area. Time to pick out the ball across. Turned over the top by Tell. Tell arriving 8 yards out, left-footed. Sends it skywards over the top of the bar.
Well, to be fair, it's a really poor finish, but we didn't see anything like this in the first half. And well done, Archie Gray. Last season he was played everywhere, bar his favourite position. He's not playing in his favourite position tonight. He never lets you down. Great character, bombs on down the right, gets to the byline, cuts the ball back. Until he's 8 yards out. He probably could even have taken a touch as well. It's a wonderful opportunity for Spurs, who have been so poor and shocking in the first half, and yet they are in the game and they're playing much better in the second.
3 goals this season for Tell. Barnes has played an intelligent ball down the inside left, and Dragusin got the wrong side of Elanga there. Again, there was a little bit of contact between the two, but not enough for the referee to give a foul. Scooped forward by Gray onto the chest of Simons. This is better from Tottenham Hotspur. Newcastle leading 1-0. Saad carries the ball forward. He's midway into the Newcastle half. He's shot from range, parried away by Pope and hacked clear by Chow. Tottenham have an effort on target 53 minutes into the game. Now here goes Simons. He's giving it away to Trippier, who slips. Simons wins it back, but there was a foul by Tell, and it's a free kick to Newcastle United. It feels like, Scott Minto, we've got a game on now.
Joe, can someone tell Thomas Frank to tell the players that actually the first half is the second half?
What is this all about?
Honestly, I have no idea. And it's not the first time this season. But this is a different Tottenham Hotspur in the second half. And listen to the fans. They're getting behind the team now because the team are giving them something.
The kings of slow starts, Tottenham Hotspur. Thomas Frank watches on in the driving rain. It's really being whipped up by the wind in the air. Offside against Gordon and a free kick to Spurs. And this is where Eddie Howe will be frustrated that Newcastle just couldn't further their lead in the first half. They were very unlucky with that Willock offside goal.
I tell you what, if Spurs do equalise and it ends up 1-1 or even 2-1 to Spurs, what will people be saying that? It is 4 heads. I mean, don't we want to see goals?
The very top of Willock's forehead was offside.
The line's got to be bigger. The line's got to be bigger.
Or change the rule altogether and allow a bit of daylight. That is how I personally see it.
You and Arsene Wenger.
I'm in good company. Well, one back by Van der Ven on the halfway line. Spence with the yellow boots on, finding Gallagher. Tottenham upping the tempo. Spence is 10 yards into the Newcastle half. Forward of the centre circle. He looks up, angles the ball towards the left, and Gallagher. Further wide is Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons corner of the penalty area, marauding in field and curling a shot at goal. Well blocked by Ramsey. Sarr then nips in front of Elanga to win it back for Spurs. Chelsea 2, Leeds 0. Cole Palmer, another goal from the penalty spot for him. It's live on Talk Radio as Scott's former team double their lead against Leeds United. Out on the left for Spurs is Spence. Led with the edge of the 18-yard area. Infield to Conor Gallagher. Tottenham 5 points clear of the Premier League relegation zone as it stands. It's still West Ham United 0, Manchester United 0 over on TalkSport right now. They've got to be conscious of that. They are in the relegation battle as they win a free kick in the left wing position far side.
Yeah, and it is a free kick. We didn't see much of Conor Gallagher in the first half, and it's going to be interesting to see if Romero stays or not in the summer, and if he doesn't, who's going to be the captain. I liked Conor Gallagher in a Chelsea shirt. Spurs fans might not want to hear that, but you know, he's that type of leader when things aren't going well. He can turn things around, and he didn't do that in the first half, and he's starting to do that in the second. Xavi Simons getting more on the ball. Matthias Tell with the chances he's had already.
Free kick in front of the South Stand for Spurs. Fans behind the goal on their feet, the masses, as Simon swings it into the near post, header away by Guimaraes, back in by Papsar. Dragosine is up there, nodded across by Pellegrini to Gray, who tried a sort of Dominic Solanke style semi-scorpion kick, and it's easily cleared away by Newcastle upfield. Tell wins it back for Tottenham. Very different Tottenham in the second half so far. We're in the 57th minute, still 1-0 to Newcastle United. Cross in by Simons, lovely reverse ball, but well taken by Pope, all in yellow, and a big overarm throw out by Pope has only reached Archie Gray. Not the best distribution from the Newcastle goalkeeper. Gray carries the ball in field, knocks it out left to Sarr. Tottenham slow the game down ever so slightly. Sarr has options out to the left in front of him. Tell is one of them. Tell on the ball, led with the edge of the area. Short ball back to Sarr, who catches Bruno Guimaraes. That's a free kick to Newcastle. Mohamed Touré has a hat-trick for Norwich away at Oxford. Norwich are on a fine run since Philippe Clement took charge. Who knows, could Norwich even challenge for the playoffs in the Championship? Having been some way off the pace when Philippe Clement took charge, they looked in genuine relegation trouble. Crawley 0, Cambridge United 1 is the latest score, and Shrewsbury lead Barrow by a goal to 0 in League 2. At the moment, Scott, Newcastle can't get out.
No, they can't. First of all, I think Norwich want to get further away from the relegation zone. It's talking about the playoffs, but this is just a completely different Spurs side. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Well, Byrne has lunged in on Gallagher, and he's going to get a yellow card for that foul. Mistimed, very close to the corner flag and right in front of the assistant referee. Eddie Howe discussing matters with Jason Tindall. I wonder how long it'll be before Newcastle make a change.
Well, you know what? Conor Gallagher's everywhere. He popped up on the left to won the foul. He's popped up on the right. Dan Burns has just dived in there, and Conor Gallagher's got the touch. Definite foul, definite yellow card. It's almost like a corner. It's that wide, but still a great opportunity for Spurs to get back in this game.
Newcastle's lead is a slender one.
Listen to the fans now.
Much more like it from the Tottenham Hotspur supporters. Come on, you Spurs is the chant around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Xavi Simons to take it, very close to the corner flag, this free kick. Only one in the Newcastle wall. Siemens right-footed, and it's turned goalwards by Dragosine and blocked. Plenty of white shirts still forward. It bounces towards Dragosine, smuggled away by Anthony Gordon out towards the Newcastle left, and Spence will shepherd it behind for a throw to Tottenham. Right on the halfway line. Spence looking for options. Thomas Frank, I think, just gesturing to him to calm down and slow the game down momentarily. An hour gone. Deflection on the looping pass by Dragosine. Thumping header into touch by Byrne for Newcastle. Another busy night of Premier League football to come tomorrow as Bournemouth get an equaliser against Everton live on the TalkSport app. Everton 1, Bournemouth 1 is the latest score. We'll confirm the goal scorer for you in just a moment. João Palhinha with a raking crossfield ball out towards Tell, and that's out of play. And it's the youngster, again, Rayan, who has scored. The 19-year-old Brazilian with 2 in 2. Quite the introduction to the Premier League for him. That's live on the TalkSport app right now. Tomorrow, Forest against Wolves on 2. Manchester City against Fulham on Talk Radio. Sunderland against Liverpool on TalkSport. Villa Brighton and Palace Burnley on the app. Brentford Arsenal on TalkSport on Thursday night. Best way to be across it all, as always, is to download our free app. Now then, Newcastle on the attack, an hour gone. Gordon's angled ball out to the right-hand side, and a terrible cross. Slipping as he delivered that ball into the penalty area, I think, Joe Willock. Hands to his head, knows he should have done better. Goal kick to Tottenham. Well, there's plenty still in this, I think, Scott Minter.
Listen, they're back in the game. And it was a 1-0 thrashing in the first half, and still not quite sure. I mean, look, again, offside is offside. I've already had a text off Adrian Durham. He's not happy with me because that's my sort of saying, but I think that's unfair. But look, the rules are what they are at the moment, but the way that Spurs have come out in this second half, they will definitely believe if they get the equaliser, they can turn it around and go and get the winner.
Jed Spence sliding in very late with that challenge just shy of the halfway line, and he's booked for a tackle on Ilanga. Poorly timed that challenge by the Spurs left-back Spence, who of course has come in for Destiny Udogie, who's now out for close to 6 weeks with his latest injury. Bournemouth have turned it around at Everton to lead 2-1. Amin Adli has scored for Bournemouth. That is live on the TalkSport app right now. TalkSport app only. A very interesting colour of the sky high above us, a sort of reddish colour. Dark and red here late into the evening. I think it might be, is it a reflection of the big screen or something like that? Very colourful sky above us for late into the evening. Forward by Trippier for Newcastle, headed away and smuggled further clear by Solanke for Spurs. Now on the counter-attack is Tell, jinking away from Guimaraes and playing it over the top towards Gallagher. Gallagher watches it drop across his body. Right-hand edge of the penalty area now. Chased by Barnes, who stands up well to the challenge, blocks the cross, and it's retrieved by Jacob Ramsey and Newcastle. And for all of Tottenham's huffing and puffing in the second half, really, they've not created a great deal. 63 minutes in, Simons wide to Gallagher, chips in the cross to the back post, headed away by Trippier, behind for a Tottenham corner.
Well, they're asking the question, and this is what the fans want to see. Even if they end up losing the game, it's much better in the second half. They'll be asking questions why Spurs just can't play like this in the first as well. But this is what they want to see their players: heart, desire, commitment, effort, and put the opposition under pressure. And who's to say they can't get back into this game and maybe even win it?
Only Arsenal have scored more goals from corners than Spurs this season. Whipped in by Simons, headed across and turned in for 1-1. Archie Gray from close range gets his first goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and Spurs are on the comeback trail again. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 1.
Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. These are two different sides that we're seeing from the first half and the second. Again, I refer back to the Manchester City game where it was completely different. They had to come back from 2-0 down. Just one at the moment, and maybe they will go on and win it. Who knows? Newcastle have got to grab hold of this game, but it's a great ball, but it's a simple corner to the far post. Papsar gets high, he heads it across. Archie Gray, no one's close enough. Dan Burns are closest to him, but everyone's just standing there watching, but they're not actually marking him. It's a definite goal.
And the goal has been given. I'm not sure what all that discussion was about a few moments ago, but it is 1-1 in North London as the rain pours and Thomas Frank punches the air with delight. Archie Gray has scored. A very rare goal for him, as I say, his first at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and we are level. Game on TalkSport 2. Harvey Barnes for Newcastle. Down the left-hand side, chips in the cross over the head of Willock. It'll drop all the way to Kieran Trippier on the far side of the field. Looks for Guimaraes. Back to goal is Elanga. Elanga teasing down the right. Trippier to Dink in the delivery. High to the back post. Flicked away by Dragusin. Hit by Gordon on the half volley. And that's going to loop and slice over the top of the bar onto the roof of the net. Deflection on it. Corner to Newcastle United. William Hill have the latest odds. TalkSport 2's official betting partner. Right now you can get Spurs to win at 3-1, Newcastle 13-8, the draw 11-10. That's all thanks to William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Spurs 3-1 to win
the game. Corner to be taken by Guimaraes. On the near side, the Newcastle left. Here he comes, right-footed and in swinging in towards the 6-yard box. Headed down, Ramsey's there. Can't get to it. Smuggled clear by Sarr. Still 1-1 as we head towards the final quarter of the game. Guimaraes to chip the ball precisely to the back post. Headed on by Botman. Chow is there, only half away. Driven towards goal. This time blocked. Harvey Barnes with the effort and it's cleared. And now Simons tripped by Trippier. No! Referee's going to give Simons a yellow card for diving. Just shy of the halfway line. A booking for Simons.
Oh, do you know what though? What a game. What a game of Premier League football we are witnessing right now. Spurs shocking in the first half. Scoreline flattered them to only be 1-0 down. Should have been 2, really. And they have just completely turned it around in this second half. Van der Ven, what a challenge that was in the box to stop what could have been a certain goal for Newcastle. What a game.
Well, it could go either way, couldn't it, Scott, at this point? This is why we love Premier League football. Floated in the free kick by Trippier. Botman heads it down, hit by Harvey Barnes. Blocked by Archie Gray. Comes out to Willock, a long way out. Xavi Simons tackled from behind. Firm but fair. Here's the counter. 3 against 3. Terrible ball, Gallagher. Straight to Elanga, who'll roll it back to Nick Pope. Tottenham got that all wrong on the break. Jake O'Brien sent off for Everton. Everton 1, Bournemouth 2 is the latest score on the TalkSport app. Everton down to 10 men. Here is Anthony Gordon, weaving his way into the penalty area, nudging it into the path of Ramsey! What a brilliant goal! Newcastle United are back in front. That was a real touch of class. Wonderful play in the build-up by Anthony Gordon into the path of Jacob Ramsey, who steers home his first Newcastle United goal, and Spurs have it all to do again. Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2. Wonderful move.
Oh, what a game of football we are watching. Absolutely no idea, even now, which way this is going to go. But Newcastle so much on the back foot from the start of the second half. Spurs, to be fair to them, deserve an equaliser, the way they showed the character in getting forward. And then suddenly, it's Newcastle who bounced back. At the moment where Spurs had the chance to counter-attack, Conor Gallagher just tripped over his feet. And then Newcastle attack at will. Spurs don't get back in time. There's too much space. And what a finish it was in the end from Jacob Ramsey. Again, there's no challenges in there. But as the ball comes to him, there's 3 Spurs players around. Anthony Gordon just flicks it to him. And before he gives any Spurs player a chance to get too tight, and they should have been tight already, he takes it first time and just caresses it into the far corner of the net. I mean, the joy of Newcastle, the despair of Spurs. What are they looking for now?
So 2-1 and 4 minutes 16 seconds between the Tottenham equaliser and the Newcastle goal that has them in front. Randall Kolo Muani is going to come on for Spurs here. And we thought Newcastle were going to make a double change, but we'll see if they do just that. Gallagher, who hasn't had the best of games, coming off. On comes Kolo Muani. Tottenham still without a Premier League win in 2026. And Newcastle, we thought, might think about bringing on Tonali and Jacob Murphy, but for now, it looks as though Eddie Howe is going to hold off. And the Newcastle fans jubilant in celebration with 20 minutes to go. I must say that the way that goal was created and finished, Scott Minto, you'll know this as a former Premier League player, was a real thing of beauty. The referee has given a free kick straight from kick-off here. Gordon caught by Dragusin. Free kick to Newcastle in the centre circle.
Yeah, do you know what? Yes. I mean, it's a really good goal from Newcastle's point of view, but being a former Premier League defender...
Yes.
I'm looking at the way that... I mean, yes, Conor Gallagher gave away the ball, but I'm pretty sure the ball went all the way back to Nick Pope, so Spurs should have got themselves set, and they didn't. As Newcastle quickly passed it, no one got close. And even when Anthony Gordon's kind of running with it, he flicks it in, and no one gets tight enough for Jacob Ramsey. It's a really clever finish. First of all, to take it first time, and then great execution to give Vicario no chance. But all that effort, and Spurs need to go again.
Forward by Trippier from the centre circle, high towards Botman. It comes out to Gordon on the half volley. Struck it well, good clean strike, but in the end, relatively high and wide. So Tottenham 2-1 down. Leeds have scored 2 goals in 6 minutes to level at Stamford Bridge, live on Talk Radio, where it's Chelsea 2, Leeds United 2. Would you believe it? And at London Stadium, It is still West Ham 0, Manchester United 0. That's a half-time score. So in the context of the table, as far as the relegation battle is concerned, Spurs, at the moment, are just 5 points clear of the drop zone. So that is deeply concerning for Thomas Frank, and they're dropping a place to 16th in the Premier League. Here is Xavi Simons. All that could change. Foul by Van der Ven as Xavi Simons looked to counter on Gordon. Well, you've got to credit Newcastle for a very impressive response to that Tottenham equaliser.
Yeah, you have. I mean, you kind of knew that Spurs would come. Well, it couldn't be that bad in the second half, and it was almost like Newcastle was turned around, that they couldn't stop Spurs, and they should have been able to, but they didn't. And it got to 1-1, and it was like, right, that's given them the kick up the backside, and they've got back to 2-1 now. And I mean, they should see this game out. It's not a great Spurs side.
Ramsey edge of the penalty area, ball bouncing around on the Tottenham 18-yard line as Spurs try to scramble it away. They do. Matisse Tell prods it into the path of Simons. Tell was caught from behind by Willock, and that's a free kick to Spurs just shy of halfway. Well, can Tottenham recover again? They were 2-0 down, of course, against Manchester City, pulled it back to 2-2, scored a 90th minute equaliser away at Burnley through Christian Romero, who of course is suspended tonight, to make it 2-2, and they're 2-1 down to Newcastle with 17 minutes to go. Van der Ven with an angled pass for Tottenham, out to the left, and Spence. Now Dragusin.
They've got to keep that 6-point gap to West Ham. You know, as each point narrows between the two of them, the pressure grows.
Kolo Muani darting down the inside right, gets to the dead ball line, chips in the cross. Tell at the back post, nods it wide. All over the back of Kieran Trippier, who thought he was fouled. But in the end, no great threat to the Newcastle goal.
No, but brilliant play from Kolo Muani. That's why he's been brought to North London, for those type of driving runs, and he's just dinked it to the far post, which meant that Nick Pope is not able to come and claim it, and just crying out for someone to get there at the far post. And I have to say, Kieran Trippier does well just to get his body there, which means that Matthias Tell, have to say, a winger, not your typical centre forward that wants those Alan Shearer type headers at the far post. He should have hit the target, but Trippier does just enough.
Double change for Newcastle. Ilanga and the scorer potentially of the winning goal, Jacob Ramsey, now coming off. Tucked away his first for Newcastle beautifully. Applauds the travelling fans as he leaves the field, to be replaced by the excellent Sandro Tonali, who we understand at TalkSport has indicated that he might be open to a move back to Italy at some stage. The other player to come on is Jacob Murphy, so a straight swap in the wing position for Newcastle as well. Newcastle leading 2-1 and set for their first victory since beating PSV in the Champions League on the 21st of January as it stands. But their lead is a slender one as Trippier plays a back pass towards Pope, and Pope hammers the ball high upfield. It'll drop down midway into the Tottenham half. The rain still swirling and heavy here in North London. Barnes with a long sleeve dark blue shirt on finds Tonali, good pace for this attack. Barnes into the area, blocked off by Pat Matasar, who thinks that he's done enough to force a goal kick, and he has. Last touch off the Newcastle man. This is TalkSport 2, live with Sky Sports. Don't forget that with Now you can stream the Premier League flexibly with a Now Sports Day or month membership. 18 plus, stream via internet. Terms apply. I'll give you the latest scores from the Premier League again in just a moment. Dragusin for Tottenham, right-sided centre half, looks up, thunders a crossfield ball high into the air. Tell is trying to get underneath it, marshalled well by Trippier, and it'll bounce out of play. Didn't really seem to have enough players forward there, Tottenham, even if Tell had won it.
It's just, you know, I'm thinking about the game and how, I mean, this is the Premier League. This is what it does. Newcastle have dominated Spurs, should have been more than 1-0 up. Spurs have come back in the second half, got the equaliser, have been so much better. And then you're thinking, well, if there's going to be another goal, it's going to come from Spurs. No, what happens? Newcastle somehow find a way to score. And now can Spurs go again? I mean, it's just It's a brilliant game of football. It really is. It's fantastic to watch if you're the neutral. It must be a nightmare if you're the fans of one of these two sides, especially Spurs.
Newcastle up to 10th, above Sunderland on goal difference as it stands. Sunderland, Liverpool on TalkSport tomorrow. Mansfield 0, Peterborough 2 is the latest score in League One this evening. Premier League latest scores, all 7:30 kickoffs these. Chelsea 2, Leeds 2. Everton down to 10 men 1, Bournemouth 2. And in the 8:15 kickoff, it's half-time. West Ham 0, Manchester United 0. Download the TalkSport app to be across all the Premier League football this midweek. Flicked by Xavi Simons, racing forward is Tell, 25 yards out, tries a shot, well blocked. Terrific challenge coming in from Malik Chow. Robust, firm and fair. Newcastle come away with possession. Willock is dispossessed by Kolo Muani, who suddenly races up the field. Clearance by Trippier, bounces down in the centre circle. Bruno Guimaraes with a slightly heavy touch, and he's knocked the ball towards the right back position. Good sliding challenge by Simons, but that is going to be a Newcastle throw. And Scott Minto, is a point the best that Spurs could hope for here?
If I were a Spurs fan, I'd absolutely snap your hand off for a point. I think, that equaliser, in fact, not even the equaliser, because for a few minutes after that, it looked like Spurs were going to go on and perhaps even get the second themselves, but they've definitely given Newcastle a kick up the backside. I wouldn't say they're playing as well as they were in the first half, but they've got much more control of the game now. And yeah, it's so difficult to score one goal in the Premier League, let alone two. I'll take a draw for Spurs for sure.
Jacob Murphy's first touch out on the right, deflection on the cross of Spence, and the ball back spinning away from the dead ball line in the Tottenham player's favour, and then he's barged over by Jacob Murphy. I think it'll be just a throw to Spurs. 03717 22 3344 for the sports bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy later on.
Are they on it together?
They're on it together again.
Jace will obviously keep quiet if Spurs lose. He won't say anything or rub Jamie's nose in it.
Well, he might not have much to say if Chelsea are held by Leeds, as it looks like they're going to be.
That's true.
2-2 at Stamford Bridge, and anything could happen. Tottenham furious with the assistant referee because the throw's gone against them.
Yeah, let's just say it'd be a great show because both will go at each other. And they'll be wanting the calls to come in for sure.
Is there the belief for Spurs that they can get back into this game? A goal back for Southampton at Leicester in the Championship, but Leicester still lead by 3-1. Ross Stewart with that Southampton goal. 2 balls on the pitch, but Solanke's knocked the loose ball out of play, and Newcastle have possession with the one that matters. A heavy touch by Kolo Muani into touch, and it's a Newcastle throw in their left back position on the near side of the field, still with those interesting coloured skies high above our heads, a shade of green and blue. Here come Tottenham with Polinia in the rain, looks for Matty's Tell, wriggles away from one challenge, deflection on the shot, he's looked bright, corner for Tottenham.
Yeah, look, you just don't know. You don't know which way it is going to go. But I think we're not getting to the point of the season where Spurs need to win, but they just don't want to be getting any closer, been dragged down close to West Ham, who at this moment in time will gain a point on them.
That's another left wing in-swinging corner from Xavi Simons, just like the equalising goal or the initial equaliser. 2-1 Newcastle, fizzed in by Simons, headed across by Dragusin, punched away by Nick Pope, did very well through a crowd. Good height and distance on the punch, and Tottenham give it away. Racing forward is Gordon, beaten to it by Vicario, who got a good starting position and was able to clear from just shy of the centre circle, the Tottenham goalkeeper.
Absolutely, all about the starting position for Vicario, because if he wasn't going to get there, it was a one-on-one for Anthony Gordon, and no one would have been catching him with his pace.
And again, the Tottenham fans fume as another refereeing decision goes against them. Free kick to Newcastle United in the right-back area. There are just 9 minutes to go here now on TalkSport 2, and it could be 8 Premier League games without a win for Spurs for the first time since 2008. As Pope takes his time with the free kick. Tottenham fan on the far side is making his feelings very clear towards Nick Pope. The goalkeeper, all in yellow, smashes the ball high upfield. It'll be flicked on by Trippier, cleared away by Van der Ven for Spurs. Chow trying to reach a ball on the halfway line, beaten to it by Simons, but it doesn't matter because Newcastle win it back quite industriously through Jacob Murphy. Now Harvey Barnes away on the near side, the left. Thomas Frank urging his players to give a little bit more. But are Tottenham out of ideas as far as getting back into this game is concerned? Newcastle have a habit of scoring late goals. No one has scored more late goals in the Premier League than they have. Minute 76 to injury time. But they are on the defensive here. Solanke, surrounded by dark blue shirts, has carried it forward for Tottenham. He's held it up well, nudges it back to Polinia. Now Simons takes over. Wide left is Tell. Plenty to aim at in the middle. Header away by Botman before Solanke could get there. Newcastle invited Tottenham on a little bit in that passage of play. Still 7 minutes plus added time to go, Scott Minter.
That's still plenty of time for chances for both sides, for sure. And look, why can't Spurs start like this in the first half? Give yourselves a chance.
Well, is it going to be yet another home defeat for the team in North London? Archie Gray back to goal, looking to spin and turn, cleared away by Byrne, who played a clever chip over the top of two in white towards Sandro Tonali, whose touch was very heavy, dispossessed by the Portuguese Polinia. Now Randall Kolomwani, right corner of the area, tried to thread it infield, blocked off by Guimaraes. Kolomwani scampering away towards the corner flag. He's tracked by Guimaraes every step of the way. 2-1 Newcastle. Polinia, Kolomwani prodding it back to Sarr on the edge of the D. Sarr thought about a shot. Everybody back for Newcastle. Tell, left corner of the 18-yard box. Rolls it square in infield to Kolomwani. Wanted too many touches in the area. Cleared away by Bruno Guimaraes, who actually has signalled to the bench that he might need to come off. He's made the substitution sign with his hands. So they'll need to take him off, I think. Not sure whether he's nursing an injury, but it seems like it. Bruno Guimaraes just saw him there, making the sign that he wants to come off. Out on the right for Tottenham is Archie Gray to whip in the cross. That should be Pope's ball, and it is high above his head inside the 6-yard box.
And breathe.
And breathe.
Be interesting to see if Bruno does have to come off, because he's so important for Newcastle. He just did so well as well. Defensive situation, and really composed when he won the ball in his own area and then just played it out. They'll definitely miss him for what's the remaining 5 minutes plus injury time if he has to come off.
Yes, some Tottenham fans are already heading for the exits as we look around the stadium. Long ball flighted up towards Tell, and if it did come off him last, nobody was there to try and win the second ball for Spurs, and it's easily gathered by Pope. One of the Tottenham assistants, Andreas Georgsson, has been yellow carded, not entirely sure why. Pope thunders the ball down the middle, flicked header away by Dragusin on the retreat. The Romanian has done relatively well tonight. Halfway line is Kolomwani, and then Xavi Simons with an aimless pass up the inside right channel. Nobody's anywhere near it in a white shirt, and there's next to no pressure on Byrne as he trots back to retrieve the ball and clears upfield. Then it's won back by Polinia. Polinia square to Xavi Simons, midway inside Newcastle territory. Out on the right is Gray. Plenty to aim at in the middle for Spurs, but as they seek an equaliser here, no great pace to this particular attack. Newcastle with everybody back to defend it. Polinia looks to find the right way to pass for Gray. Gray tried to hold it up by the corner flag, but he was beaten to it by Barnes, who did his defensive work very diligently there. Cleared upfield by Bruno Guimaraes. Newcastle waiting to get Nick Voltemada on.
Surprised he's the one who's coming on. Trying to hold out now. I might have been tempted to put Lewis Hall there in midfield, who, coming through the academy at Chelsea, was a midfielder. Obviously a superb left back right now, but he'll have a more defensive head on than Voltemada.
Well, we're hearing it's going to be Willock to come off, so I'm not sure what the substitution sign from Bruno Guimaraes was necessarily all about.
Well, maybe he was saying it on behalf of Willock.
Yeah. Scott and I will be watching Newcastle's next game away at Aston Villa in the FA Cup on Saturday, live on TalkSport. Forward by Sarr, that's a good pass up the inside left, chasing is Tell, goalkeeper back pedals, Tell keeps the ball in on the dead ball line, crosses high, and it's way too high, an overhit for Solanke. Kolomwani has kept it in play on the opposite wing, but it's another poor delivery, this time from Matisse Tell, and Jean Polini with a clumsy foul on Tonali, and you get the sense that this game is petering out for Tottenham here.
Yeah, well, Spurs need to be careful not to give away silly fouls, because that's what Newcastle want. They want it to be bitty. You know, they want to have that game management. And if they got an opportunity of going down, yeah, of course, Spurs want to try and win the ball back and, you know, show their fans and themselves of getting back into it. But you also have to be clever when you're about to make tackles, because unless you know you can win the ball, the players will just get their body in between the ball, and they'll go down for a foul.
West Ham United 1, Manchester United 0. We'll tell you what that means for the table in just a moment. First, Willock and Gordon go off. On come Voltemada and Will Osula for the 26th substitute appearance in the Premier League of his Newcastle career. So West Ham lead Manchester United on TalkSport right now. That means the gap between them and Tottenham is down to 3 points. Wow. And I wonder how significant that will be for the Spurs hierarchy. If it stays like this, Tottenham 2-1 down, West Ham 1-0 up, Thomas Souček has scored, and the gap between Spurs and the relegation zone, 3 points, and they won't have won in 8 Premier League matches. Again, if it stays like this, Jacob Murphy down the middle towards Osula, who's blocked off by Dragosine. 90 seconds to go. Jason Tindall, the Newcastle assistant, has been booked, and there's a yellow card here as well for Bruno Guimaraes, who has gone to ground and says that he needs to come off, I think. And I think this time he is talking about himself.
Maybe he is. I mean, he is just wiped. Xavi Simon's out there, hasn't he? And he's gone down, and he's absolutely knackered. He's just touching the top of his hamstring there, so I do hope that's nothing serious. And obviously getting towards the end of the game where players are already tired, even before the game starts. I know people will turn around and say, well, you're only playing 2 or 3 games a week, you should be able to do it. But, you know, these are elite athletes, and the muscles they give to the absolute maximum. And certainly as you get towards the end of a game, and it's almost as if he's looking at the physio and don't try and stretch my hamstring, it's gone.
Well, that is a big concern for Eddie Howe.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see if he can stand up and walk off, and if he's limping, or whether he needs a stretcher to see how bad it could be. But yeah, Newcastle United need their captain. He's a massive, massive player.
Lewis Hall, who Scott mentioned can play that midfield role, is going to replace him. It is Tottenham 1, Newcastle 2 on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, book now at enterprise.co.uk. Listen to the chant from the Tottenham fans. You're getting sacked in the morning. Not the first time we've heard that chant directed at Thomas Frank. So the Spurs fans turn on their own manager. Once again, Tottenham supporters make their feelings clear. They want Thomas Frank out as we go into 6 minutes of added time at the end of the game.
Well, that's not what you want to hear, really. I understand the frustrations of the Spurs fans. It's just not been good enough, not just today, even though they were very good for 20 minutes at the start of the second half. First half was shocking. Well, this season has just not been good enough, but it's not been good enough for lots of seasons now in terms of league, and that's where you judge a team. Yeah, well done for winning the Europa League, and what was the poorest Europa League in many a year, but still, well done for winning it. You've won a major trophy, but it's more than just Thomas Frank.
Long throw coming up for Tottenham here. Everybody virtually in white is forward. Dragosine is going to hurl this one into the box. 2-1 Newcastle. Second minute of added time. Didn't really get much behind that. Dragosine headed away by Hall with ease. And now the counter is on for Newcastle. Osula up and over the halfway line. Charging beyond Dragosine. Fresh legs looking Certainly very lively there for Newcastle, but in the end he was blocked off by Jed Spence. Tottenham win it back. So nearly 2 of 6 added minutes played. Still 1-0 to West Ham against Manchester United, though that's got well over half an hour to go. But as it stands, the gap between Spurs and the relegation places is only 3 points. Dragusin, square to Van der Ven, left edge of the centre circle. Angled ball wide to Xavi Simons, who cuts in field. Simons, middle of the Newcastle half. This is desperate for Tottenham now. Goodness knows what the reaction will be like at full time if it stays like this. Here on TalkSport 2. Tail right corner of the area, infield to Simons, turns away from Asula. Newcastle defending very deep. Everybody's back inside the 18-yard box for the final 3.5 minutes. Van der Ven picks out Polinia, who dinks it in. Header away by Botman. Tell on the volley, half missed his kick. Solanke with an overhead kick, and it's blocked. And now it's dropped to Van der Ven, who hammers it over the top from just inside the penalty area.
It's a wonderful opportunity, and it's fallen to the wrong man, although he has scored goals this season. He's just snatched at it. It's come at him quickly, and he's kind of hit across it. As Dominic Solanke tries to get an overhead kick. What a goal that would have been if it got in the top corner. Didn't connect properly. Comes back out to Van der Ven. And do you know what? He's only about, 12, 15 yards out max. Right in front of goal. If he gets that in the corner, Pope's not getting anywhere near it. Oh, these are tough times for Spurs fans.
They're leaving in their numbers in droves, aren't they, Scott, all the time. Halfway through these 6 added minutes. Lewis Hall surging up the left for Newcastle United. Left corner of the penalty area. Voltemada wants it played into the middle. Hall is heading for the corner flag. They've got 2.5 minutes to see out here, Newcastle. Goal kick given to Spurs, double deflection on the ball across from Hall. Is there any late hope for Thomas Frank? Tottenham from left to right here, deep into added time in the second half, and 2-1 down in the driving rain of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Leicester 3, Southampton 2 is the latest score. Mansfield 1, Peterborough 2 in League 1. Here is Dragusin. Last knockings perhaps here for Tottenham. Dragusin on the halfway line. The ball has got to go forward surely, but there's no great urgency in the way that Tottenham are playing. Dragusin has got it back from Polinia. Angled ball to the right and Kolo Muani. Just over 90 seconds remain. Xavi Simons trying to wriggle his way down the right-hand side. It's come off Byrne. You would think the only way Tottenham look like they can score is from a set piece or a long throw at the moment. Van der Ven, forward of the centre circle. Wide out left to Matty's Tell, driving infield towards the edge of the penalty area now. Reverse ball to Sarr with his back to goal. He's half held it up. Voltemada gets it away for Newcastle. Clever ball back to Barnes from Hall, and Hall will hammer it upfield over the halfway line. Tottenham throw, just over a minute to go.
Have it. That's all he wanted to do. Just get rid of it. It was the right thing to do as well.
Boos as Dragusin's long pass goes straight out of play. It's finished. Chelsea 2, Leeds 2, Everton 1, Bournemouth 2, still West Ham 1, Manchester United 0. All the reaction tonight on the Sports Bar. 03717 22 33 44. There are 40 seconds to go, and the Newcastle fans are cheering wildly. 3,000 in the northeast corner on the far side of the field. Time is nearly up for Tottenham here. There'll be yet another home defeat. Slice clearance out of play by Pope, but there's barely enough time for Tottenham to get the ball forward. Newcastle are about to get a very significant Premier League win. Only their third away win of the season so far. Archie Gray, halfway line. We've nearly had the 6 added minutes. Goes long, header away. Drops to Van der Ven, who flicks it forward. Nodded clear by Dan Byrne through a crowd. It bounces down. Xavi Simons is first to the loose ball. Looks for Spence. Referee looked to have a look at his watch there. We've had the 6 added minutes. Surging forward is Simons. Given away to Sandro Tonali, who hacks it clear. Eddie Howe wants the final whistle. It's not forthcoming just yet. Attack v defence in the final few seconds. Drifted in by Papsar. Goalkeeper stays on his line. Headed down by Polinia. And that is it. Listen to the boos at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The fury of the Spurs support rains down on Thomas Frank. Another home defeat for the under-pressure manager, and Spurs are very much in a relegation battle. They are yet to win a Premier League game in 2026, 8 without victory in the top flight for the first time since 2008, and they're waving goodbye, some of the Tottenham fans in the South Stand, to their manager. The Spurs supporters have made their feelings very clear tonight. Yet another home defeat, a 7th in the Premier League this season so far, and just the 3rd away victory of the campaign for Newcastle United, who thoroughly deserved it. They opened the scoring right on half-time for Malik Chow. Archie Gray scored an equaliser for Spurs, and then 4 minutes after that, Jacob Ramsey scoring what turned out to be the winner. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is a glum place to be at the moment as Thomas Frank trudges across towards the tunnel. Spurs are in a mess, and glum faces all around the stadium, everywhere you look. Could it yet get worse for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League this season? They have been beaten again, this time by Newcastle. Spurs 1, Newcastle 2. Here's Scott Minter.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm looking at the Spurs fans, and they're just almost shell-shocked. Shell-shocked at what they're witnessing this season. And look, let's talk about the positives. There aren't many, but the 20 minutes of the second half, why can't they start like that? But look, that's it. That's all I've got. From the start of the game, Newcastle, they dominated that first half. Should have been, well, deserved to be 2, even 3-0 up. Talk about controversial or non-controversial. Offside is offside. I think it's really harsh. The line has to be bigger. We want to see goals. We want to support the attacking side. So Newcastle will feel that they should have been 2-0 up at half-time, but it was just the 1. Fair play to Spurs for coming back into it. And just after 1-1, it looked like they were going to go on and get the winner, but the killer goal, just 4 minutes after for Newcastle, and then they kind of just controlled the game. And Spurs, I do feel for them, because it's not as if they're not trying. They are. They're giving absolutely everything, but when things aren't going well for you, and the confidence is gone, it feels like you're running in treacle. The fans are wanting to get behind you, but in the end it's become so frustrated. They're paying a lot of money to watch this, and all of it just chucked into the mix. The ingredients of that equals a relegation scrap. Make no mistake, Tottenham Hotspur at this moment in time are in a relegation fight until they start winning some games, and back-to-back games as well.
Could they go down?
Look, I was part of a West Ham squad with Paolo Di Canio, Jermaine Defoe, Mickey Carrick, Joe Cole, Trevor Sinclair, David James, just to name a few. That squad was too good to go down, but we went down. There is no such thing as a squad that's too good to go down. I mean, it's unthinkable, this stadium in the Championship. And I still don't think that they will go down, but I've got no guarantees for that. Wouldn't put a pound on it. The way they're playing at the moment, the way they're spiralling downwards, the way the confidence is just drained from them. And the January window is gone, not really helped by the hierarchy. I look at them, and you asked me in the first half, what do you see? What are they trying to do? And it's difficult to know. It was a 4-3-3. Xavi Simons is not your typical winger, so he's coming inside a little bit. Odegaard got injured, unfortunately. He looked dangerous in the first 10 minutes, that ball over the top of Dan Burn, but they did look better as a 4-2-3-1. Xavi Simons, he's a 10. He is a 10. He needs to find a way to keep him as a 10. Dominic Solanke starved the service, being very honest, but dropping too deep. So when the ball was going back up to the halfway line, just going to a Newcastle defender, it was wave after wave after wave of attack in that first half. They have to find a way. I mean, there's no magic pill, no magic wand. You just got to work hard, find a way, in the way that you look at West Ham now, and the game is still going on for them at the London Stadium. At this moment in time, they're winning. The gap at this moment in time is just 3 points from the relegation zone to Tottenham Hotspur, and that's frightening for the Spurs fans.
And Scott, Tottenham's next game is at home to Arsenal. And they have well over a week of preparation. It's hard not to feel sorry for Thomas Frank on a human level, but do you think he'll still be in the dugout for that game?
Yeah, I do. I mean, what's the point of getting rid of someone unless you've got a better option? I'm not saying he's doing great. Of course he's not doing great at the moment, but if you've got someone lined up and you've been looking at that for the last couple of weeks, then okay, let's see who that is. But unless you have, who's gonna take over? Who's out there? It's not going to be someone coming from within. So, as I say, unless there's something that we don't know, yeah, I do think he should be in charge of the Arsenal game. But it's scary to think, isn't it, that they could be come the weekend,
in the thick of it.
Just above the dotted line, but only on goal difference.
Well, it's a bad night for Spurs, a great night for Newcastle, and on that note, let's pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Scott Minto, what do you reckon? Some really good performances in there for Newcastle. Eddie Howe was pumping his fist at the end. We got a glimpse of what it means for the Newcastle manager, and that's a great victory for him. But who would be your man of the match? There's quite a few contenders.
Yeah, there are. It's a difficult one. I mean, Antti Elanga, I thought, had a good game without being brilliant, but that's the type of performance and effort I want to see from him. Obviously, you've got the 2 goal scorers in Joe Willock and Jacob Ramsey. I thought they were very good. Anthony Gordon, questions are asked about why the proper strikers are on the bench. Well, he did a very good job. But I'm going to give it to? I'm going to give it to the captain.
That's not a bad shout.
I just thought, when things were going well, he was part of it. When things weren't going well, he was still defending really well, helping out his back four. He's a proper character. He's the type of person you want on your side in the trenches when things are going well, but also when things aren't. And it flip-flopped at times in that game. But yeah, I just thought it wasn't quite 90 minutes because he did come off, but I thought over the game that he was on the pitch, I thought he led he put in a real captain's performance.
Okay, Bruno Guimaraes is our man of the match, Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.